Looking for the hottest news out of the obstacle racing scene? Want to stay up to date on the freshest info, the latest podiums, and hear interviews with the who's who in OCR? Well, you've come to the wrong place. Well, some of that you'll find here. But we're not the media. This is not ORM, OCM, OCRM, ORCM. This is OCR Talk.
Hello, this is Jason Dupree and
Anna Landry,
Lauren Dean,
Michael Stefano, Mark Duplessis,
Javier Escobar,
Jessica Johnson,
Heather Olsen,
Caitlin Ritter,
April Dupree. I thought we were saying.
I know I messed that up.
Take one.
We can continue on there but just to say that this is a very special episode of OCR Talk, episode number 43. One of the what is this? WTM Eve. I believe. And we have a nice little crowd inside of our Airbnb for this episode, and all the characters that you just heard. So let's try that one more time just to say, I started off wrong, sorry. What your name is and what you are doing at WTM, or what you, podcast-wise, if you're a podcaster, because we have several podcasters here, which one you do. So I said OCR. I guess I did it right. I don't know. Jason Dupree, OCR Talk, obviously. I'm running this year and going to shoot for 75. Not feeling great about it, but, that's the end goal.
And I'm Anna, that other lady. And I guess I'll be running too as well.
How many miles?
All of them.
As many as it takes for me to not drive home.
Exactly.
That's a goal.
and I'm Lauren Dean. I'm pitting for Anna Landry.
Michael Stefano, Obstacle Running Adventures, and at least 50. I'd be very happy with 60. Dirty brown bib. That'd be good for me.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And Mark Duplessis and pitting for Jason, Anna, and Mike, and Javier.
Javier Escobar. Goal is to actually run as many laps and say I love you to my mom as many possible times as I can. So hopefully that is so hopefully that is 20 laps and 100 miles. And we'll see how it goes.
Jessica Johnson. I am pitting this year for my buddy Travis, and see how and Heather.
How would people know you online?
I'm Instagram Johnson in the mud.
So Tough Mudder community.
Yeah. I ran before.
I am Heather Olsen, and I'm the host of the Overcome and Run podcast, and I will be running this year at World's Toughest Mudder, and I'm aiming for 75 miles, so we'll see how that goes.
My name is Katelyn. I'm the co-host of Obstacle Running Adventures with Mike, and I am pitting for Anna, Mike, Javier, and Jason. Did I forget anybody?
No.
I'm also pitting for those people because I don't want to say that over again. April Dupree. I'm struggles of a race wife. I don't have a podcast, but I definitely do follow all of the things that the people who have racers in their lives experience, and pitting is one of those things. And this is our second year to be in the pit. Pretty excited and looking forward to it. And hoping it's not quite as cold as last year. Just not, like if you don't set something down and it freezes, that would be...
I got
That's my
fingers for the pit, so if it does freeze, it'll freeze flat.
Perfect. We are very much more prepared than last year. We have twinkle lights, warm clothes.
Javier bought a bat so we can get our athletes back out.
The bat of shame.
The bat of shame.
Yes.
Get out the pit.
I predict colder.
Oh,
I hope that it's colder.
Get out.
Get out.
I hope that it's colder.
We got it cooler this time, though, to keep the beers warmer, so that'll be better.
But we won't be by the river, so we might not freeze.
Yeah.
I think since we kind of got into it a little bit to talk about goals and what you're looking for, we can kind of start there. I know for myself, looking at 75, most I've run Worlds twice in 16 and 18. Got 50 both times. Got 50 kind of like right on the money the first time, and 50 fairly easily the second time, but got nauseous and chose to stop going after that. So this time it's just like a full-on go for it. Mm-hmm. Nausea doesn't matter. Being sore doesn't matter. Barring a legit injury that keeps me from moving forward, have to keep going no matter what.
Hypothermia doesn't exist.
Nope, it's a myth.
That's a myth.
That is a whole myth.
Well, as long as you don't stop moving, that's
Yeah.
the biggest issue.
Yeah.
People stop moving and then they get cold.
Yeah.
Don't stop
And if you
moving.
can run, you know, even if it's the slowest run you've ever run in your life,
Yeah.
that still keeps your body warmer than walking.
Yes.
Last year, one of the things that I kept telling myself was that the pit is the coldest part of the course. Little did I know that actually became true, and it was the coldest part of the course. So that really helped me mentally, and just knowing that if you stay there, you're gonna freeze. And so I just had food shoved down my face and got back out there
You get
and
quick
walked
hits.
a lot.
You had a lot of quick
You had
hits
quick
last year.
hits.
Too
Yeah.
quick sometimes. I would just kind of leave and be like, oh, I forgot all this. I'm not turning around now. See you in 5 miles.
But this year you have a running belt, so we can put some snacks in there for you.
Well, you had a belt last year, but the zipper broke.
It broke.
Like
So I actually got a new one from
Fitletic.
Fitletic. I did.
Good.
It's orange, so it's my
Yay.
favorite color. It's gonna be.
We have his and hers.
Yes.
I love it.
Okay.
Zipper works well. It gets money and it still works, so I'll be using that.
Well,
the
Mike,
best.
while you're talking, your goals, you did 50 last year, and while I feel like you got 50, I think I finished with you about 12:30ish. So with still an hour to spare, but you were walking how many laps at the end?
A lot. There was a part of the course that was super runnable. It was a gentle downhill. It wasn't muddy or anything, but I physically couldn't run that because chafing was so bad. Everyone was complaining about the cold, and yeah, the cold sucked, but the chafing was so bad. Caitlin knows I didn't want to go in the shower.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He was like, no, I'm
it
just gonna go to
smelled
bed. I'm
like
like, oh no,
Yeah.
you are not doing
There was
that.
a point where, like,
in the shower.
not getting too graphic, but I thought I was bleeding, and like it's bad. It's like
Boudreaux's sweatpants.
it's permanent damage on there. So like
Yeah, we put like diaper rash stuff on his.
yeah, like all scarred up and gross. So like, and as long as that doesn't happen, I can keep going. I mean, the hardest thing for me is like upper body wise, but mentally, it's going to take so much more than that to stop me.
Well, you also had the hand thing last year.
Yes,
I remember
my
going to the
hands
medical
got
with you
very
last
big.
year. Yeah.
That was scary too.
I remember reading about that.
Yeah, it was because so people always think it's like water to salt ratio, and that can definitely be a factor too. But the thing is, if your wetsuit is squeezing your body the whole time, and I had my 3-2 wetsuit, another neoprene layer, I forget how thick that was, and my shorty on just to really block that core temperature in, and my hands ballooned to the point where I was running with it was Joshua Reed towards the end, and we were getting to happy ending where you have to. It's nice and easy for toughest because it has like the rope. And I went to grab the rope and my hands wouldn't close. And I'm like, that's when it all came back that my body says you're done. And so I finished that lap and I went to medical. I'm like, what can they do to fix it? And then Matt B. Davis found me and said,
And he cried. I've seen him crying one other time.
because I knew that I could at least get one more lap and get 45, but I didn't come for 45. I came for 50.
You brought your gloves, huh?
Yeah, he gave me his blankets.
Yeah.
So
I think this year we should pack scissors, and if we have to cut your wetsuit,
yeah,
Yeah,
that was
that's
supposed to
what-
sleeves off, but you can never.
That's what we had to do.
Yeah,
with
we
my
did that for
wetsuit
yours.
last
If
year.
your hands start swelling.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
my hands started
Yeah,
swelling
yours did too.
almost like as soon as I put that wetsuit on.
I didn't realize it until it was like really, really bad too.
Oh, they were
Because I was failing all the obstacles
so
anyway because
bad.
I don't have
Yeah.
much upper body
Yeah.
strength. So.
It worried me.
But the penalties, I took a lot of penalties. If the stacks is open again, more penalties. I took over 2 miles in penalties just to avoid stacks because I don't want to cramp up. I don't want to fall wrong like some of my
Stacks
friends
ain't
had.
that bad, man.
Yeah.
You just gotta do
It's
it.
not.
And it
literally
didn't
is-
open until 12 hours through the race when you're
Yeah.
already tired.
I mean,
Yep.
that's,
Yeah.
that's
And-
that's
Right.
literally
And you have
100%
to
of
climb
the
up the
course.
thing. It's not even like the
Yeah.
cliff where you just run and jump off, which is still terrifying. That's why I didn't want to run Vegas. You have to climb up the thing. And anyone that's done ladder to hell, you know that that's a key place to cramp up is when you're like really reaching and all that. And that's not a fun place to cramp. And I'm just terrified of like.
But I mean, you said it. You said earlier, right? Mentally, you're tough and you can get through it. So you should be able to equally be able to get through that.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna call you out there.
That's fair.
Ooh.
You
I
want
should-
to
I
talk
should
about
do it
what
at
you
least
said in
once.
the car?
Exactly.
Oh.
Your irrational, where you think that fear comes from?
No.
Okay.
And they were all standing after this year, so if you don't do it,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
This
shitting
could be a
on
tough
it.
pit this year.
Ooh.
Get out of my pit.
Really get that
Take
deep
the
into my
back to
subconscious.
you.
That's,
There's gonna be
The
words.
stacks is-
You're definitely capable of it. I mean, there are plenty of people who are less out of shape than you. Not that you're out of shape, but less out of shape or worse. Or, you know.
You know what I'm
It's not a
saying.
hard obstacle. You climb up, and then you just fall. Like that's all. It's gravity.
You gotta
It's a
get it,
gravity
you gotta fall
obstacle, but
You can do it.
falling correctly, and like the impact. It's only water, but it still hurts. Surface tension from that. It's
It's not that bad.
You get over it within a
Just
few
tighten the
minutes.
bubble.
And some people are
literally-
saying
Think of how much
over.
time you'll
It's
save
over
by
before
jumping.
you know it.
But it's that
It's
first. I mean, that's something that people can't.
37 feet.
Once you get past it, you know it, but you
Yeah.
don't
Well,
know it
yeah.
until you know it.
I mean, in 2017, every
Right.
time I jumped off the
Nothing
cliff,
about
it
it.
scared me every time.
Yeah.
But if you just give yourself a countdown and you
Yeah.
don't allow yourself time to think, you just go 1, 2, 3, go.
which
Yep.
would be
And then
great
it's
if I
over.
didn't have to climb the thing.
It's true.
That's all.
But if you get up there,
You're not going to
You've
climb
already
down.
you've already
It's
made
easier
it
to
all the way
fall.
up there.
And
Think
then
of your mom Facebook living me in Hawaii as I cliff jump.
Yeah, but that's enough of me.
Well, we're talking a lot
Just try
about
to
the
be-
worry of the cliff. We're not even sure it's going to be
yeah,
there.
That's
and we'll get to
Dax wasn't
that.
even
Yeah,
on
it's
the
not even
map.
on the
Yeah.
Climb
We'll get to
towers.
that. We got the whole map to talk about as well.
Yeah.
I used to climb towers.
Yeah.
And it's a mind thing.
Yeah.
It's I mean when the tower's moving like that, you know, your stomach wants to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, knot up in knots, but it's a mind thing.
Mhm.
So if you can keep it in your mind, you're
And
good.
it's not the falling; it's just the sudden stop.
It's the sudden stopping.
No,
That's what gets
it's
you.
all about
You
don't
don't
think
hit it like
about that.
cement.
Think about
In
confidence.
the water.
You think about your confidence. You need to be confident.
Yeah.
It's like skydiving.
Not
All right,
the
so-
Confident in
So-
you.
Yeah,
See the first time.
If you can't grab it, you need to grab your forearm.
So back to Anna.
Sure.
So that I think that covered Mike pretty well. Back to Anna. Your goals,
Yeah.
as opposed to what happened last year. What have you learned and gonna do better this year?
Yeah, same thing with Mike. The pit was the coldest part of the race for me last year, and I underestimated it, and I wasn't prepared for it, and yeah, I feel like I'm a little bit more prepared now.
And you did great at Toughest South.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
your
and you know what?
pits.
I
Yeah.
went into it completely mentally different. Just like going out there with, I had expectations for myself, but like I wasn't gonna, I know I had like a whole bunch of life changes that just recently happened. So like I wasn't gonna be too hard on myself. I was just gonna go out there, just keep moving, try and stay positive, try and stay like focused on just getting into the pit, getting out, and keeping moving. And I mean, it paid off at Toughest South. So
Mhm.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah, dude.
I think the cold got to you a lot
yeah,
last year.
and then like
We
rolling
had the
my
ankle.
ankle.
Yeah, we had the ankle.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
ankle.
Forgot about
I didn't
that.
have an ankle. I just had
Yeah.
like a cankle.
One solid mass.
Yeah, one solid
But you
massive
did another
leg.
lap after that.
Yeah, I
You did one
still
more
did.
lap, yeah.
Yeah, I
But
still
you-
did one more
Wow.
lap because he threatened to make me drive home.
Yeah, and it worked.
It
That's
did
it.
work.
I realized that.
Now I can't drive home. So.
But you've had one of your strongest years this year as far as
Yeah.
racing. Like
Yeah.
you've done amazing all
I've
year
tried.
long.
I've
Yeah.
tried.
So I'm excited for you this year.
I've tried. I'm just gonna keep moving. I'm just gonna
That's not
keep.
what she says.
No, I'm just hard on myself though.
She
I'm-
is.
Yeah, but you
I'm
killed it at
just
Toughest
hard
South.
on
Like, you won the
myself.
course
Like,
way
I-
longer
on
than I was.
Magnolia
Yeah,
Road,
like
and
yeah.
it's a 15% grade.
Yeah, Chris
'cause I'm
Mendoza
working
runs that road a
on
lot,
Magnolia
and
Road.
he's been running that road a lot because it's like a 15% grade for like
And
4
if she
miles
can
or
run
something
that
like
road, she's
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah.
They have,
I've
like-
been trying to get her up there, but
She's already
Yeah.
badass.
kind of ran out of time.
Yeah.
No, you've been killing this year.
You really are. I'm
All right, so
excited for you.
Javier, while not you don't have a podcast, you are the only sponsored person on this.
Oh yeah,
That's
absolutely.
true.
Yeah, there's a lot of perks that come with the sponsorship, including 401k contribution. I get Reese's peanut butter cups, a lot of love and great amount of attention from my sponsors. They take pretty good care of me.
He's not paying attention to you
It
at all
picks
right
up-
now.
Yeah.
He's being a slut right now.
The mic picks up.
Yeah.
One of the funny jokes I think like Will always talks about is how he's the only podcaster that hasn't gotten 50 miles. He doesn't have a brown bib, and it's not true.
Hey!
True.
We're a team. You got the
Yeah.
50 miles.
That's
You'll
right.
do it
Yes.
again this year, and then we could just be like, oh, two for back.
Anna doesn't.
Yeah.
She needs to get hers.
Yep.
Um,
Sure, good then.
Yeah.
But he always talks about it like all the podcasters are not pros, not elites or whatever. But everybody always forgets about Evan.
Oh, Evan.
Evan's the outlier. He definitely does. Javier, though, you're up there with those guys. I mean, you were on a winning team this past.
Yeah, you
past
know,
event.
and
Why are you here hanging out with us?
I mean, I'm just a regular dude. Like I don't consider like I don't at all. And I've even talked to Mike and Katelyn about this. I don't consider myself at all to be an elite athlete. You know, not at all. You know, I think for me to be in those ranks or to even consider myself that that type of athlete is if I was pretty good at all disciplines, you know, short, mid, and long, and performing at least at even at the top 20 level at those, then I would go ahead and happily accept that type of title. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm just a regular dude that just does his thing. I'm a grinder. Like I think that's my thing. Is that last year while the cold was taking a lot of people out, and they weren't prepared for it, I was freezing. I was fucking dying out there. My hands were swelling. I couldn't feel my feet anymore. Like there was a lot, and my first 4 laps last year were fucking disastrous. Like
First 4?
For the first 4 laps were the worst laps that I had because first lap I ran with the wetsuit top on and I overheated and I had to rip that thing off. And then I had an unexperienced pit crew. The second lap I ran shirtless and I was way too freaking cold. The third lap I put on a windbreaker thinking that would help without anything underneath me and I was still freezing. And then like the 4th lap I was running, I was running hard because my quads were freezing up and I was quite literally punching my quads so they wouldn't seize up for an entire lap. Literally, man, just pounding your quads just so that they don't seize up. So I had so many things that went wrong. So 4th lap I put on my wetsuit, went up to Matterhorn, forgot my fucking bib back at the pit.
No.
So I got up the hill and then had to and looked down and I was like, fuck! And then I had to turn back and go grab my bib, and I still had that, like, all those things went wrong, like, for the first 4 laps. But my whole thing was just like, forward momentum, just keep going, dude. Keep focusing on the next thing, like I said, I had a lot of points of like, where I was just, I call it anchoring. So, the first 50 miles in my head, I had dedicated to a certain thing. The next 25 to another thing, and then the last couple laps another thing. But I just kind of anchored myself to these little ideas that have some happiness behind them and continue to focus on that rather than what was going wrong with the race and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not an elite athlete by no fucking means. I'm just I'm a grinder. That's all I am.
So I can relate to when I talk to a person who doesn't run at all, and they say I tell them I'm going to do a 24-hour race, or I'm going to do a 25-mile race, and they're like, "Wow, that's amazing," and I'm like, "No, it's not. It's not at all." So I kind of look at you like that, and you think to yourself, "No, it's not amazing. I'm not doing anything crazy." But how many miles did you run last year?
I ran 80,
which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and
especially given the conditions.
It's all right. Yeah. It was okay.
Yeah, it was good, and to be honest with you, I'm the type of person that just like I don't sit and appreciate the moment at all. I just focus on next year. So I was like, all right, I did 80 miles, great, fuck it. What am I gonna do next year? So I never sit and actually take it all in.
I just want to say I literally had a conversation like this with Chris Mendoza before he won World's Toughest Mudder. It was a very similar conversation where he's like, I just feel like a normal dude. Yeah. I don't feel like an elite athlete, but he's incredibly skilled as we see and saw. And so I think the same can be said for you, just saying.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pressure's on now.
And you are saying
better win.
You are saying your goal is 100, right? Like you would like to run 100.
Yeah, it's definitely 100.
And you've been working really hard this year.
To reach
that.
I mean, this year has been a little bit turbulent, as has last year, as every damn freaking year of my life. I feel like there's always periods of turbulence.
I think every racer feels that way.
Yeah. And it's just kind of, I definitely have hit my training marks. I'm coming in a little bit fatter than I was last year, so that's one thing that,
so much fatter.
Warmer. You'll be
It's
warmer.
It's a layer of warmth.
That's what I say.
It's more fuel to burn.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, that's exactly right.
Insulation.
That's how I've been thinking about it. So last year, actually, I came into the race at 158 pounds. I'm coming in at 168 right now. Again, it kind of lost my nutrition a little bit, and I lost a lot of confidence after NORAMs when I sprained my ankle. Like when that happened, I was like, damn, there's only a couple months left. I'm not going to get the amount of training volume that I normally would going into Worlds. But that kind of you go through the little period of depression because you can't run. You're training and you're trying to push hard, but you can't really do it. And it's just, it was that, from that sense, being injured so close with this big event, kind of it took me out of the mindset. But once I started getting right back into the training, I was hitting it hard, and super focused, and like I said, dialed in on my nutrition, and we'll see where we go, where it takes me. So.
You hear a lot about that, about the pros getting injured, and I think Rebecca Hammond was out most of this year, and was it last year that Rhea was out most of the year, or maybe that was this year? Shoot, I don't know.
Yeah, well, Morgan Mackay dropped out of the Spartan Ultra because she got injured again.
Yeah.
Same.
Another head injury, right?
Yeah.
That's
kinda-
but I mean, we all deal with it, whether it's from the
Yeah.
top elites to
Yeah.
the people who just are running a couple laps.
It's kind of the beauty of this.
I'd also
right?
like to point
Like-
out, though, Javier crushed it at Toughest West.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True.
That wasn't a
heard-
team. That was a super group.
I will say.
Yeah.
We
Wasn't
gave them a
even
run for their
fair.
money,
Yeah.
just saying. But yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
kicked our ass.
Oh, trust me, and I'm not sure if we were playing mental warfare with you guys. We're like Josie and I were talking to those guys, and we were like, man, we don't really want to run that hard. And those dudes were like, man, we just want to finish like close to you guys, and we were like, fuck. we're like, yeah. So I was like, if you guys want to dial it back, we're cool with that. We don't want to run this fast.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're like, yeah. So
Oh, yeah,
there was a
that's-
little bit of that kind of stuff going on in the background, because those and I were like, man, we're tired. I was like, I don't want to fucking run this much right now.
Oh yeah, no, the guys on my team were pretty incredible.
Oh yeah, no, those dudes were fast.
Yeah, they were.
They were freaking they were rocket jets,
Yep.
man.
You ran what year?
17 and 18. So
Okay.
I did one Vegas and Atlanta last year.
Okay, nice. What do you think about the difference between the two venues?
I mean, obviously
Preference?
the weather. Well, Vegas is better for me because it's closer to home. I hate the cold. I'm born and bred Southern California, so it's like this last year was. But actually, last year I wasn't that cold. I ended up breaking early because of just gear issue. But I went back out later on. But when I stopped, it was not because of the cold. Like I just size your layers. That's what I literally the last lap before I stopped for a while, I couldn't breathe because my layers were so tight.
Too tight on you.
I'm worried about that. I'm a little bigger
Yeah,
than
all
last
the-
year.
Your wetsuit fit you fine.
Yeah.
Is this your first time to pit?
It's my first. No, in 16 I helped. I volunteered and helped with the orphan tent, and then
Okay.
I actually.
That might be where I recognize you
Okay.
from. 'Cause
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I-
I had a unicorn onesie on all night, and that year I was the unicorn volunteer at Double Rainbow. So.
Oh, cool.
So
That's awesome.
Jason's first year at Worlds, he went by himself,
Oh,
and so he was an orphan. He ran, he got 50, and then he packed up everything and drove.
That was the worst
and,
part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He then came home
Wow.
afterwards.
Yeah,
But
you
yeah.
convinced us to pit for you, and I was like, oh yeah, we're going to Vegas, and that's what I'm like.
I also just want to say I did pit for my buddy Will Cattermole in Vegas, and he ended up with third for the.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
So is
he's
it
been doing pretty well
She's
this
pretty
year.
phenomenal.
is
Awesome.
it tough for you as somebody who races? Is it tough for you to pit because you're like you wish that you were racing? Like, is it a struggle?
For me, not as much because I'm not fast. I just go out there and I have fun with it. I do it for the challenge. I do the regular mutters as often as I can, and so for me, it wasn't really. I'd ran Saturday morning, and I'm like, it was at Vegas, so I was like, I'm good. I don't need to go. I don't need to be out there right now. It's in the cold and having to do dizzy bat or
Yeah, real. That was not fun.
Are you running the hot lap tomorrow?
I am. I will be.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
We'll be out there too.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I'll
Are
figure
you
out
doing it
better.
too?
No,
no,
media.
I'm running it.
Oh.
Yeah.
It really is a
Mike will do
great
media.
place for like you want to pit, but you also like to run, but you get a chance to still run. So that's
I'm
really
very
cool.
excited to be able to, as a pit member, like, cause it was a little bit this year bittersweet. Like I just wasn't gonna make Worlds work to run it, but then I had the opportunity to come and pit anyway. And then I'm just thinking, I'm like, oh man, I'm not gonna get the Holy Grail. Oh man, I'm not gonna do the obstacles. So the hot lap was a super cool opportunity.
That's awesome.
To
Mark
be
and
able to
I
go try the obstacles.
talked about that like all night last year. We're like, we just want to do one lap.
They
just one
seriously,
lap.
It's
they
killing me
said
not
it
to
every
do it.
time those guys came
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
that they
Most
wish.
people have wanted that.
It's
Yeah.
killing me not to run this year. Like, I wanted it like because of the Holy Grail. Like y'all both kept pushing me
Next
to try and
year.
do it, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do it.
Next
Yeah.
year should be
But-
super cool because it's the 10-year
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
And it's gonna be in Dallas where it's warm.
I was gonna
What?
say that.
I'm
Not right now.
Okay, so
You
spreading
can't-
lies.
Speculation. That's
Fake
what I'm
news.
leaning
They're
towards
called
as well.
predictions, Heather. That's what you're
Ah.
A
calling
lot,
it.
a lot of
Yeah.
people are guessing that. I don't know why,
Oh.
but
I
I
have
tested
Oh.
the date.
I have a
date
few
change.
reasons.
I would
why.
love that.
I
Date
feel like
change,
it.
the fact that there's no toughest south.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
the-
yeah.
Oh yeah. There's no tough
Yes.
stuff. I forgot about that.
Right.
Very
Forgot about that.
true.
You heard it here first. If it's right.
You're right,
If not,
guys.
just
If
ignore
it's
it.
wrong, you heard it on
Yeah.
Was
Obstacle
Benny
Racing
Media.
Media. Sorry, Matt. Love you.
Yeah, we're gonna have to travel up to y'all to do the toughest.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna do toughest Chicago because my little
Yeah.
sister graduates college.
Well, that's probably the one we'll all. The three of us will do.
That's
We
right.
were
That's my
literally
plan.
talking about this on the drive over. That's the one I'm gonna run competitively. Is Chicago.
You guys come do the hills in LA.
I guess
Yeah.
we're all
Oh
gonna do
God,
it.
yeah.
I've heard about
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Hey,
should've done Worlds
Atkins
this year.
could get 50 in 8 hours, so I'm just saying.
it. Yeah.
I still can't believe that. That's the
Yeah.
Glen Helen course is like
It's the worst.
I've heard some stuff.
it's awful.
Come do the hills in Colorado.
Oh
I
yeah.
did Copper Mountain.
You did
so-
Copper Mountain?
All right.
We're supposed to do a Ragnar.
Yeah, we're gonna do
Colorado.
Ragnar
We're
next
supposed
year.
to do a Ragnar
Yeah, we'll do
next year.
Ragnar next year.
Yeah, we are
Yeah.
talking about doing Ragnar in
Yeah.
Colorado this next year.
Yeah.
That'd be
Should
fun.
be pretty.
That actually sounds
Aspen,
terrible.
Yeah.
So Heather, you ran. You've only run once before.
I've only run once before, and it was 2017 in Vegas. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it last year because of work, and so as soon as they announced the dates, I booked this weekend. I was like, I'm coming back because it was difficult just to see all my friends and everybody go and do World's Toughest Mudder, and I couldn't be there, so
Right.
I prioritized it this year. Yeah.
Did you know about it before, like 16, 15, 14?
So I first joined this whole scene in 2015, and actually the very first episode of my podcast, Jay interviewed Chad Trammell, who
Yeah.
won 2015,
Yep.
I believe. And so that's where we first heard about it. And I was like, okay, this sounds intense. And then 2016, I really wanted to go. I wasn't going to run, but I had to actually shoot a wedding in Jacksonville, Florida. I shot it
So you
on the
traveled
Saturday.
Across
Yeah.
the country instead of going to where it was close to you.
Yeah, because at the time, I was living, it was just when we had moved to California, I think, but I was still shooting some weddings in Florida. And so I shot a wedding in Jacksonville Saturday, hopped on a plane, got to World's Toughest Mudder the last 3 hours of the event in 2016.
Oh, wow.
And got to see a little bit of it. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I have to run this next year. I have to. And then I did. Yeah.
And you got 50.
I did. I got 50 miles.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, and I set that goal, and when I set it, I was like, oh, this is too high. Like, this is a stupid goal for me. It's my first Worlds. I haven't been training it as well as I should, but I was shocked. Like, I went out and I did it, and I finished at like 11 something a.m. And so, like, if I'd really been pushing,
Yeah.
I probably could have squeezed in an extra lap.
As after they stopped requiring you to finish after 12.
Yeah,
Is
and
the
so I was
eight
like,
after 8 or
I
whatever.
think it was 9. that
yeah.
year.
And
Maybe.
so I was like, okay, because I was running with my buddy, and we're like, okay, we're tired, and like, I regret it just a little bit. I want to see if I could still do it, but yeah, after that, I really surprised myself. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did 50 in my first Worlds, like, and so that's when I started thinking about my next Worlds. I'm like, oh, okay, what am I going to go for next? And it was funny because my first thought was like 75 is impossible. Like, I can't do this. Like, if that was 50, I don't know how I'm going to do 75. But just over the past 2 years, I'm realizing more and more that endurance and longer distance races is more my thing. Like Javier said, I'm one of those people that I can just grind.
out.
I'm not the fastest runner in the world, but I can just grind forever. So
And there's not a whole lot of girls that have gotten 75,
Right,
right?
Koval
Right.
last
Not
year.
a lot.
it's kind of a small
Yeah, pretty
club.
small.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's a
Hit
huge
it this
goal.
year.
That's
You
huge.
should
Uh,
grind it this year.
Before we come back to the grinding thing, Javier, you wanted to interject something?
Oh yeah, it's the first year at Worlds I got 35 miles, so for you to get 50,
Okay.
that means that your goal should be 100.
I think it's a little too ambitious.
Javier's just calling everybody.
Next
Right.
year.
Everybody.
You need to be confident.
Last year was my first, and I got 35, so I'm like,
2020, she'll
There
get
we
it.
go.
damn it,
You
I'm
got
coming back
perfect.
for it.
You could easily
I'm
get
back
50.
for it
Yeah.
this year, damn it.
But the whole grinding thing, I think
Yeah.
that kind of like resonates with pretty much anybody that does this with a higher volume. It's like we enjoy, like I can go do a Spartan sprint and that's fun, but or even the 3K at OCR Worlds and that's fun. But man, that burning your heart out is not as fun.
No.
But to just be out there all night and something about where your mind goes and where your body,
Yes.
where you learn where you can go
Yeah.
is just something that we found that is amazing. And some people love one or the other. Some people love both.
I always say I'd rather do a 3-hour long run than a 1 mile time trial.
Yes.
Oh yes,
So
all
much.
day long,
Yeah.
all day long. I did that 5K up in Longmont a couple weeks ago, and I was totally gonna just treat it as a training run, just an easy 3-mile run that morning. And of course, like you start running and you start looking at people and you're like, I can pass them. I can pass them. And then all of a sudden you're just all out. Like, I hate this. Why did I do this? Why did I sign up for a 5K? I'd rather run 16 miles today.
No, it's funny. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine from back home because, I mean, if you ever listen to my podcast, you kind of know that I don't come from a running background at all.
Yeah.
And so they knew me long before I was a runner. So they're asking me questions about this race and things like that, and like things like endurance racing. And I was like, the best part, it's kind of the worst part, but the best part is like that, that moment at like 2 a.m. where you're just feeling absolutely miserable and you just want to cry and scream and quit and sit and sleep. And it's just this moment where you're just at this ultimate dark place. And then you just make the conscious effort to keep moving forward. And then you move past that moment. Like those moments in these long races teach you so much about yourself that it's just this incredible, experience. And like, I think that's why I keep chasing it.
Right.
I love those moments where I'm really testing myself in every single way.
Speaking of which, so you said you don't come from a running background. I don't come from a running background at all.
I don't either.
Me either.
So what were you guys doing before? I was powerlifting.
Skateboarding.
Playing rugby. Mixed martial arts.
I was a club rat.
Wait, like club, like EDM.
Like clubbing.
Wow.
She's just really good at whack-a-mole.
Well, obviously, so then you have the endurance from that.
True.
Yeah. So technically, you had some aerobic base before you started.
Time on your feet.
Eating at.
I mean, I wasn't a beer bucket girl. I mean, I didn't go that far, but
Until 8 years ago, I probably never did more than 3 miles at a time.
yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, it's funny. You're learning where you can take yourself, but getting to even to that point, mentally and physically, like even to get to where it's like my legs are tired and they feel like they're done, but you keep going, and it's like, well, they're just tired and done. They still move, but I'm whatever.
For me, it's the camaraderie of it. Like, you're suffering out there, but you look around and everyone else is suffering too.
Yeah.
But everyone else has made that decision to keep pushing. For me, there was a lot of miserable times of last year, but I remember it was around like 10 o'clock, and seeing all of the cars leaving, just hundreds of people just leaving.
Yeah, Oh, yeah.
And I see that fewer amount of people to talk to help me out on the course. Just like, it's that much more lonely, and that many people quitting, like that was terrible.
Yeah.
But the people that stayed.
And they were jumping off the stacks and everything too.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't jump jump off the cliff. I didn't jump off the stacks. All right. I have a tiny bit of regret, but I literally last year for the stacks, last lap, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And Mike, who was there, the volunteer, and like gave me a hug. 2 steps up the ladder, I started crying. And I just turned around. I just turned around and walked.
But didn't they close the stacks last year at one point? Whenever it got super cold? Yeah.
When it got really cold.
Yeah, whenever it got
They closed
like
a
down
bunch
to
of stuff
28.
last year.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing for
I
me. is-
don't remember
Wait, I
any
thought
of
the
that.
stack
You don't
stayed
know.
open, but
I'm
I'm
like,
You were already
when-
running past it. You just
I'm
don't
like,
even
when- no,
remember.
so the only
Okay.
obstacles I remember them closing last
Yeah.
year was like Berlin Walls,
The underwater tunnels.
And
yeah, the underwater
lumberjacks.
tunnels.
Closed Gauntlet.
Yeah, but I was
That was
And
never
they closed
closed
the gauntlet,
for me.
yeah.
Everest was still.
I did it
Is
every
somebody
lap.
not telling me?
Everest
Everest
closed.
closed.
Everest.
They just
Everest
let you go on
closed.
there.
Oh my god. Lumberjack closed. Stairway to
That guy
Heaven
has
closed.
We'll have to close it this year since it's
Well, it was
required.
funny
and
because
mandatory.
where we were sitting last year, all of a sudden we heard people being like, "Yo, in that lap, like this obstacle was closed because it was too cold," and like the 3 of us were like, "Oh my god, they're gonna love this!"
Everest
I'm
was
just gonna be so
Everest was
happy.
my next obstacle when I heard that announcement, and I'm like, "Hey, so you closed?" He's like, "Yeah, man." I'm like, what else is closed?
Yeah.
And I think that's the big reason why I'm back this year is to prove that 50 wasn't a fluke. It's not just because
Yeah, you got this.
'Cause
my
things are
biggest weakness
closed.
is upper body, and they shut off all the upper body obstacles, so it was easier for me. My legs can just go forever somehow. So I just want to make sure that I can get that again. But
Yeah.
it was almost easier because they shut things down because it was so cold. And I wonder if they're more likely to shut it down with this new
Well, last year,
president because they
Wait.
shut down obstacles at Jersey
Well,
for the elites for tougher.
Was
I
that-
feel like they've gotten soft. So
I
I'm
know
sure
last
it's
year
respect.
with the walls and stuff, it was because of the actual frost.
Ice was
like,
on.
people
Yeah.
were-
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It
yeah,
wasn't. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I know frost is a direct because it's cold, but
Yeah.
it wasn't necessarily
Yeah.
because it was too cold. It was
'Cause people
because
fall
of
off
the
the
frost.
It was
and-
legit
Yeah.
ice buildup.
Yeah.
on
Everything
obstacles,
stuck
yeah.
to the
but
obstacles.
Everest wasn't mandatory last year.
No.
No.
And it is this year.
It's
Well,
not
Well,
mandatory.
it's not
What?
really.
It's a
Well,
crazy
they have a
bad
penalty.
but it's
Right.
not mandatory.
Yeah, because it was mandatory at Toughest South.
That would have made me.
Because I remember
very
standing
angry.
there going, when my hands were ripped open, going, "Oh, I need to skip." And the woman's like, "Well, if you don't do it, then we're gonna disqualify you." And my hands were like bleeding. I'm like, "Well, I guess I'm just gonna stand here for 20 minutes so I can get up it."
I was
But-
not aware that it was mandatory in Midwest either. I just did it every time. So
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
It was
most
Thank
people
God
do
for
that.
Francis.
I'm
That's
almost,
what I'm
and
saying.
Ashley,
Francis
and Ashley Russell.
saved
Yeah.
me.
I hate beating the crap out of them though. That's why if
Yeah.
I'm not strong enough to pull myself up, I'm killing these poor people up.
Yeah.
Like, give me a penalty. I don't care if it sucks. It
Well,
should
Yeah.
suck.
We'll see what the penalty is.
Yeah.
I want to see what the penalty is.
We don't know what the penalty is for anything at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
And-
get
and
off
we'll-
the trail tomorrow
and
and
we'll
see
get
what
to that.
happens.
Yeah.
We'll get
Is
to
the
that.
unicorn horse?
Before
Yeah.
Before we do talk about the course itself, we talked about our personal goals and whatnot. Pit crew wise, do y'all have anything different that you've learned or want to do differently from previous years to now?
Yes, absolutely. So last year we were pretty inexperienced. It was more just an experience for us because we didn't know what to expect. And we got a spot that was close to the first part of the pit, which was also right next to the pond, which later we found out kind of contributed to the cold and the fact that when our racers came in and we took some article of clothing off and set it down on the ground, it froze. So we had to use a lot of hot water to melt things, and like we had a lot of issues with the cold. I think it might have been because of where we were at. But this year we ourselves have better gear. We've talked to the racers and talked to them about we did a lot of wetsuit changes, which was pretty miserable because you guys pee in them, and that was really
Wait. Y'all did a bunch of
You specifically took mine off and got covered.
I was
Yeah.
covered in pee by the end of the race.
I remember the sound that it made.
So
Oh, I did too.
we won't forget for sure. But no, we have so we talked about that. We also made efforts because this might sound silly, but really there was a part of last year where it got really dark and just like
Quiet.
Yeah.
and just very alone, and like I can't remember who said it, but a lot of people left. A lot of the obstacles shut down. It was a very lonely period, and I mean nobody was even talking on the mics.
And
Like it was
so many people were in their cars
It was
sleeping.
very, and we don't want that this year. So we're making a lot of efforts. I'm not really sure of the heat situation, if they're going to have bonfires, if they're going to have. Toughest South did a great job. They had movies all night. They had music playing. Like, they did an amazing job.
Just shut it down as soon as they start running, though.
Yeah, so I hope that they incorporate that. I'm not sure what was behind it. I'm sure there was reasons, but even if they don't, we've made changes to our own area where like we have like fun patio lights and we have different things so that
Javier, I think, brought a speaker.
when our racers come in, it's like a welcoming, it's a reminder that you guys aren't by yourself. And I think that has a lot to do with the spirit of it. We don't want you to stay, obviously.
That's why we've got the bat
you
of shame.
we have the bat to beat you with. We don't want you to get too comfortable, but we do want you to realize that you're not alone. Because I remember at one point one of you ran up and we were all just huddled up cold and quiet. Like, what a terrible pit crew to come to. So anyway, no, I'm excited because I think we're more prepared in those ways to just be more supportive and more prepared for ourselves because we all have dry robes. Like we're ready. So I'm really excited about it.
Last year, I forgot to eat.
Same.
Yeah.
I forgot to eat, and that random guy that we had in the other pit crew, like, fed me as I was feeding other people. And was like, no, you need to remember to eat. And I was
and
so focused on everybody else.
That's the thing too, is when you're there to pit for one person, that's one thing. But when you're a group and you're pitting for different people, you all come at staggered times.
Which I'm so happy Lauren's
It might be,
for that.
Another guy.
Yeah.
Me,
So
like,
it might
yanking
be
people in the wetsuits.
It might be 5
miserable.
minutes between two different racers, or it might be 20 minutes. You know, it might be so.
There were times last year where it'd be like 2 hours, and we'd be like,
yeah.
Should we go look for them? Like,
also, it's weird as a pit crew too, and I don't know if they're aware of this, but it's tough not to be able to track you guys. Like you would think because you have a timing chip that we would be able to just look at our phones and know where you are on the course. I don't know if that sounds too simple,
I think it's
but
going to be better this year with the timing mats that they have.
You just never know when somebody's going to come in.
and so poor Caitlin's out here going, Mike. Because all of you look the same. Everybody looks the same.
Everybody in black hoods and a black
wait, I got like a neon orange and green.
I remember you talking about that.
More prepared. More prepared. So, yeah.
I got a koozie this year so my beers don't freeze.
I got my
I'm good.
Priorities.
Right?
Yeah.
Priorities.
We're pumped. I'm really excited.
I'm expecting at least 12 laps out of somebody because I got 12 beers and I'm playing a beer
I also
lap.
think it's helpful too because by the end of it last year we had such a system going. Like Mark rips off the wetsuit, somebody takes the bleg mitts, we cover them in the dry robe, we feed them.
Somebody else feeds them noodles.
And this year I have my own dry robe instead of stripping down to just a t-shirt and shorts.
Man, we're gonna
You're more than welcome to get in my heated jacket.
Oh yeah.
Jacket with extra batteries.
So we're a machine this year. Like you guys better be ready because your pit crew is going to be on point.
No one's stopping this
We are ready. We're really ready.
Definitely pro tip. I don't care how cold it is. When you need to get your person out of their wetsuit, make them do it outside. Don't get that pee all in the tent.
In the tent?
Who would do that?
That sounds terrible.
Oh no.
I'm messing with no pee.
Yeah, we were stripping people
I don't want to
outside.
be messing with
bodily fluid.
We also we made sure to get an Airbnb with washer and dryer. Because last year we just bagged up all the wet stuff and brought it home.
There was a washer and dryer.
a dry bag.
Home Depot bucket.
But we didn't.
We didn't come back to the Airbnb. We went back to the hotel room.
Right.
Yeah. So everything was wet and our bags were over the limit whenever we flew home. And they were also disgusting. So we're just ready in so many ways.
We are.
And the compression
And
bag
I
for
feel
that
like the
dryer.
mindset is different too. Like you have to go in with kind of like a tough love and know that like in the moment you might want to be like, oh, you can lay down, but you're like, no, you want to go get those 75.
Oh, I got that.
That's
Exactly.
what Josh Fiore said. Like it's all democracy beforehand, but once it starts, you need to boss them around. And we need to be bossed around.
Yeah.
That's what it
Especially
takes.
when you go like brain dead and you're
I'm
just
going
like zoning.
straight into like PO mode and just, I'm gonna turn on my like professional like probation officer and just like, no, this is what we're doing. Get out.
The biggest thing people need to make sure that they have a plan and they have plans for the plans and you know
For sure.
A, B, and C and know how far you can push your runner.
Yeah. And it won't always go according to plan, right? It's not going to go exactly how you picture it in your head. So be kind to yourself at the same time too, because things come up and things happen and the weather changes and things are different. But I'm really excited.
I'm really excited too. And we've
Last
been
year was
talking for
scary.
like the full year.
We've been preparing for the entire year. Yeah, we're really excited.
I think it's also important to figure out what are reasons why I would drop out of the race and what are reasons that I would not drop out of the race.
Right.
The
Yeah.
cold
Yeah.
is not a
That's
reason
a-
for me to
Javier
drop
doesn't
out.
have any
That's
reasons.
That's a
point.
good.
Yeah.
No.
There are no reasons to
I
Javier.
would drop
Yeah.
out of the race.
Even
No
you,
reasons.
Jason, like you struggled with some nausea last year, and you're like, I'll just puke and keep going. Like
Right.
that's not
This
a reason
time
to
it's
quit.
like there's no reason for that.
No.
Yeah.
But no, that is like, what is your ultimate break? Like, if I break my leg, I can't keep moving forward.
Yeah.
You know,
Physically
but like-
broken,
Yeah.
I cannot.
I could find some drugs
Did
for
we
you.
bring some crutches?
Yeah, David Goggins did it with duct tape. I'm just saying.
Get a stick.
I feel like you gotta finish the lap you're on, and then you make the
That's
decision.
never even a thought in my head.
Yeah.
No.
It literally, that never occurs to me of what is breaking. My whole thing is, this is my goal.
Yeah.
I'm going to fucking pursue the shit out of that goal and get to it. I never once think, oh, I'm going to quit because of this, these are the reasons. No, it's like, this is what I'm here for. I didn't spend all this fucking money. I didn't take all this time off. I didn't do all this stuff just to come over here and drop out at X miles.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my lowest moments, because I at Midwest, I had a few little low moments where I'm just like everything hurts and you're exhausted, and my only thought was the only way that I'm going to be done is to finish this.
Yeah.
There is no other option.
Yeah.
Like there is no stopping. There is no pit.
Yeah.
Only finishing is the only way I'm going to get out of this, and so that's the thought that usually pushes
Yeah.
me
I like
forward.
Yeah.
And Mike and I have had a lot of conversations. I'm like, oh, but if you don't get 50, it's okay. He's like, if I don't get 50, I better be dead out there.
I failed.
Collapsed out on the course.
I expect you to get more than 50.
Yeah.
I know you can get more than 50.
If,
Yeah.
if the chafing situation's under
I
control,
will
You'll be fine.
stick
At
my
least that's
hands
not
down
even
your
an issue.
wetsuit for
Yeah.
it.
I would stick my hands down your vest.
You know, it's like one of those
Like,
things
I'm not
like
going to stick my hand on your wetsuit.
You're literally,
I'll
Everybody
have
else.
Josh Chase stick his hand down your wetsuit.
He's got some long ass arms.
He does. He's very tall. He's got the long arms.
We got you covered.
but I
He
feel
can
like
practice
what
tomorrow.
you do when
Yeah.
you start saying those things is like you're speaking that stuff into existence.
Yeah.
Right,
You know,
right, right.
Like you're just.
That's a
you're-
good point.
That's all you talk about.
Yeah.
Is, oh, the chafing. That's all I've heard.
Right.
Yeah.
I gotta stop hearing about this chafing.
Yeah.
But
And hear about what you're gonna
Yeah,
do.
come game.
not
This is all
about the
beforehand.
chafing.
Come game day, I'm gonna kick all that shit out of
Yeah.
behind.
Yeah.
But
Sure,
But everything
'cause
put
you
out
have-
into
you
the
have a
world comes
strong-
back to you.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Mike, you have a very
That's the
strong
one thing I have
mental.
going for me. is
That
like,
was legitimate.
with
Your
all of
mental
my
strength
other
was
Exactly.
amazing.
mental stuff I can deal with.
Yeah.
Let's hear more
Yeah.
about the fact that you got out of that med tent and then you went out and you got
Yep.
the rest of those
Absolutely.
laps
He
got
instead of what
10
you
more miles
didn't.
after
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, you did.
I
Those
will, I will
Cabbage
say,
Patch hands.
when sometimes people who are more in the beginning stages of OCR, they ask me about endurance races. They ask for like advice. I'm like, or just what I think about it or what it's like. One of the first things I talk about is how mental strength is as important as physical strength. Like, there are so many people that are physically capable of doing this, but they're just not mentally strong enough to do it yet.
Yeah.
Everybody's mentally strong enough if you work at it, but mental strength is so key in endurance
Yeah.
racing.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you
Yep.
have the mental strength, you can do so much more than you
Absolutely.
realize.
Yeah.
And that's like
Absolutely.
the coolest thing.
Well, it's
It is.
funny, like 'cause my coach ran toughest. What was one of the first toughest? Was it toughest South, I think, or something like
East
that?
was the very first.
East or one of
Oh
them.
yeah, Philly.
Yeah,
and then,
but he
and-
was
yeah.
he was leading the race from start to like 30 miles, and then he just dropped. He's like, you know what? I got bored. I didn't want to do this anymore,
Dude,
and
yeah.
he stopped. He also did that at he had a self-propelled winter race where it was like he was 60 miles into the race. He was leading the whole thing, and he only had like 15 miles left. But he's like, I just got bored. I didn't want to do this anymore, so I stopped. He's
Well, that's-
younger.
yeah.
He's younger
Yeah.
though. He's like 24, 25-ish.
Yeah.
But he has insane capacity, but like he doesn't have that mental maturity
Right.
to finish some of these types of
Yeah,
races.
because
that
there's
happens
like
a lot,
such that
yeah.
redundancy with endurance
Yeah.
races and
Yep.
like the kind of stuff that
He
we
doesn't have
Yeah.
the reasons.
Right.
Yeah.
There's been
Yeah.
multiple
Have the
races
reasons,
where I've just gotten bored
Right.
and had the energy and been
Yeah.
completely fine. It's like I'm
Yeah.
tired of this course. Like it's
Yeah.
not fun. But then you have a fun
Right.
course and you're hurting the whole time. You just keep pushing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So before we talk about the course, just to mention somebody who does say exactly what we're saying here, like to have that mental capacity and to know that you can, you say I can run. I'm going to do a race. I do 20 miles, and somebody says, I can never do that. People say that all the time. I can never do that. Well, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
I mean, we
If
all.
I can do it, anyone can do it. You can't see me on a podcast, but if I can, go look me up. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
So one of the people who is a big proponent of that, and he's not somebody who's doing the kind of mileage that we're doing. Will Hicks.
Yeah.
Have a moment for him. Who he's not coming at all, as far as we know.
I just got another up here.
Yeah, he hurt his
He's
arm,
having surgery.
and very unfortunate. And my heart goes out to him. Not only did I want to see him and hang out with him, but just to understand what it's like to have this idea of what you want to accomplish all year long, and then just be pulled out from under you. So, he says on his podcast that nobody listens to his podcast to listen to him, and he's wrong about that. We do listen to listen to him. And sorry for you, man. It's hard to hear that, and we feel for you.
Yeah, I was hoping to see him this year.
Yeah.
He was one of the people that we saw during that time where it was like quiet and nobody was walking around. We went for a walk and walked up, and he's like, "Oh, who are you?" And I introduced myself. He goes, "Oh yeah, I know who you are." And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, how do you know who I am?" And he took the time to know and introduce himself to every single person that talked to him.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and it made it that much better for people in the pit crew area.
That's
Also,
true. That's
Very
true.
disappointed. I didn't see him at all.
I saw him a lot at the two toughest I ran, both on course and in the pit, and he was just a light. Like every time I would see him, I'm like,
Agreed.
yes, Will Hicks.
Agreed.
Like,
Yeah.
yay.
Even at Dizzy Bat?
I never saw him at Dizzy
There
Bat.
was 3 of him.
He
that
only
were
did
alive.
And we gave him 5 stars. I was sitting right next to Kendall.
That's
Yeah.
excellent.
So
He fell
before,
over, right?
Yeah, I think I was the one that did that Rhea-esque laugh at
Oh.
the end.
go ahead.
Sorry, something else that he says too to bring it back is that running a 24-hour race is hard. You're not meant to do that. You are going to suffer, and I think that's why it's important to have like a mantra. Like last year, my thing I wrote it on my arm was, I didn't come here for an easy race. If you came here to have an easy race, you were at the wrong fucking race.
Yeah.
And so you need to go in realizing that it's going to be hellish, but there's going to be so many epic moments. Like looking back on it, like I remember helping Christopher Mendoza over Mud Mile. I remember giving advice to Jesse Bruce with Spread Eagle, and talking to Rhea Coble about how she had hiccups. Like little things that it's weird what you remember, but it's through suffering that stuff stands out more.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because it's that thing where it's like you have to expect, you have to know how hard it's going to be and how much you're going to hurt. So at Midwest this year, toughest Midwest, I got 40 miles, and I was like, awesome. Now I know I can do 40 miles in 12 hours. Oh shit, I have to do that twice. And I was like, oh my God. And it was like this weird thing. It was like, that's really cool that I'm capable of it.
Yeah.
But oh my God, now I get the full impact of how difficult this is going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
But so that's a really good mantra.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But it's so funny though, because you got the 40 miles in that 12-hour time frame, but when you're at Worlds because you have that time limit of the 12 hours, you literally expire at the 12th hour and you're done.
Right.
But when you're doing 24 hours, it's like you get that additional 12-hour extension, and you're like, oh yeah, I could just continue going.
Yeah.
Whereas a couple of months ago, you were like, no, I'm dead at 12.
Right?
It's so funny how that thing works. It's crazy.
So before we talk about the map, I want to talk about an idea that Anna had, a possibility, a theory. There's been some issues with the map this year that we're going to talk about, and that it was in years past, it's always been puzzle pieces that would get released as different community challenges happen, and it's fun. It involves everybody. It's really cool. And this year, they tried to do something a little different. It ended up being a puzzle in a different form that we didn't really get to fully see because nobody figured it out. Because it wasn't as simple as a puzzle piece.
Everybody fully saw it when...
No.
Wait,
Before the
before that.
puzzle
Like a
pieces
second.
started coming out, it was a different type of
Yeah.
puzzle.
Yeah.
And maybe that was Kyle McLaughlin's... McLaughlin. Sorry. His possibly his idea. The joke about the the mistakes that happen. The Tough Mudder intern.
Mm-hmm.
Anna's theory is that
He is the Tough Mudder intern.
what if he was
Who, Kyle?
Yeah.
right because he just came in to be in president.
Oh,
He is his own intern, right?
Kyle's the intern.
All this
But
time
he's
he's been the
doing, like, a
intern, and now
bang-up
he's
job. I
now
must
he's
say.
coming to
I
be
have
president.
To say.
But yeah, a lot of things that they're
great.
doing
A
is really
lot
awesome.
of the
Have
events,
you-
every single event that it's been awesome.
Have you guys had the chance to meet him yet?
Yeah, I
Not
actually
yet.
met him.
Yeah.
I met him last
Actually-
year at World.
No, you have not.
Oh
I did-
my
I
gosh.
met
Met
him
I did
last
get an
year.
interview.
I never met
You
him.
have to meet
Whenever I was
him.
loading out.
He's the best.
It's been 3 opportunities. It was the first one was Toughest East, but he wasn't there because he was covering a different race. The second time was Tough Mudder Boston, where he was there at the finish line. I said, "Are you Kyle?" We had a quick conversation, but everyone had to evacuate because a crazy storm rolled through.
Oh,
And the third time was in New Jersey, where everywhere I went, I was like 5 minutes behind him, and I kept and I couldn't find him, and so I ended up having
Aw.
to leave. So I missed him 3 times, but I had like a quick conversation with him.
All right, you're gonna
He
get him
seems-
this weekend.
You'll get it, Mike.
Yeah.
Definitely. He knows that I'm looking for him.
so-
Like,
He's like,
listeners of the show have been like, "Hey, this guy's looking for you."
Christopher Stevens sent us an email and be like, Mike, look who I found.
It wasn't so hard to
I
find.
will say, like, not to throw the former CEO under the bus, but it's like night and day.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh,
Yes.
he is.
So what you're saying is the other guy sucks.
No, night and day was the word she
Night,
used.
night doesn't necessarily suck. So,
Just different. Just different.
Just different.
like, it's so refreshing to talk to him, because I've talked to him a number of times now, and just even though he's still human and Tough Mudder's still kind of feeling out some kinks this year, just when you talk to him, you get such a sense of like genuine enthusiasm for the community, for anybody who's running Tough Mudder, for Tough Mudder itself. Like, it's weird to have that level of like honest connection with someone who's so high up in Tough Mudder, and so
But it's
like,
genuine.
it's
because
so
it
genuine.
reflects in the
Yeah.
event.
He was
So.
he was a Legionnaire before he started working for the company.
Yeah.
He had
Yeah.
done
Yeah.
Tough Mudders, and he runs a Sunday Funday with
Yeah.
ambassadors.
Yeah.
Like goes
Yeah.
through EST.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like it, I mean, the other guy didn't do that. Yeah, he brought us. He brought this to us. We wouldn't have
Yeah.
this without him. But
Yeah.
it's definitely grown leaps and bounds in the last year.
But it
It's
shows.
really
It
cool.
shows because of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, any CEO who will go out there and run the course with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
people, any CEO that will sit there and pour beers because the lines are backing up,
Yeah.
any CEO that will take the time to call ambassadors personally if he has questions about something that
Yeah.
happened here, like that, just it's
Well, and
really
then,
going in the right direction.
in Midwest on Saturday, I didn't
Yeah.
run Saturday morning because I was going to run Toughest that night,
Yeah.
and so I just did media, and he took me and Carlo and Jacob Bosecker on like a little tour on the
Nice.
ATV around the whole course, and every time we stopped at an obstacle, he just jumped in. Like somebody was being treated by medical, he jumped in to see what was going on.
Wow.
There was an issue with the Augustus Gloop, he was seeing why the tubes were all messed up. Like every single time, without even like thinking, he would just jump
Yeah.
in, and it was like, okay, so he may be the intern, but
Yeah.
he's getting better.
Intern not in a negative.
Yeah.
No, I know.
Not with
I
a
kinda
negative
love-
connotation,
I love
right?
that theory though. It's kind of
So
hilarious.
like, moral of the story: stick with Heather tomorrow during the holiday.
Yeah.
Make sure you find him.
Yeah.
His trolling this year
Oh my
in the
gosh.
world's page has been my
So
favorite
funny.
thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's been like my
been very
favorite thing ever
entertaining.
because he's so interactive and so engaged
Yeah.
with the community, and that's why it's reflected in the events, and that's why the events I think have been so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, for sure.
Agreed.
So the puzzle that has been they started with, the only thing that I saw that stood out to me was like a crossword puzzle, like a legit crossword puzzle that was supposed to be part of. I don't know. Have y'all heard anything about what it was supposed to be in the first place?
Never paid
It was supposed
attention
to
to
be
the puzzle.
some
I know,
sort of like
yeah.
digital, like pretty much, it's like Pokemon Go, I want to say, type stuff. Where he's like, oh, they're out there in the like.
I would know about this.
Oh, they're out in the
interview
wild?
they were saying it's like they're
Yeah, but
out
they
there
said-
in the world.
They said digitally though, not in the real world.
He told
But
us that we didn't
did
find something at SoCal, and I'm like, I mean, I wasn't looking that hard, but I didn't see anything.
All right, well that's
I didn't
still out there
understand it
to.
Yeah, I tried going back because the first email that Kyle said is, oh, it's in your registration as an add-on, And I was literally looking at
That was the-
script
that was the
of
best
the
troll.
website to see like is there anything hidden in this thing, and there
The
wasn't.
code? You were looking at the code.
Yeah.
You're like,
I'm
here's the
like,
code.
where the hell is this?
That's so funny.
I was doing all this stuff to try to find it. I was like,
I didn't pay attention to it.
I haven't been
Any
paying
basic-
attention. I've been
Unless
so
Katelyn
anxious for
updated
this
us,
that
I
I'm
don't
I'm
like,
just like it's gonna come out when
Pay
it comes out.
attention.
So I
Yeah,
haven't paid
exactly.
attention. But
Well,
I
I'd
do
be,
like how the
scrolling at work, being like, oh, what's going on?
Or every time I was like, oh, the monthly newsletter, I'm like, I'll just wait for Katelyn to update.
She's great at that.
Puzzle pieces isn't about getting the map. The puzzle
No.
pieces
It's
is about
about
the,
the
challenges, the challenges
Yeah.
and interactions
Yeah.
with the community.
I
That's true.
appreciate the ingenuity of the original puzzle, but
Yeah.
it just kind of went over everybody's head, and they just went back to a regular puzzle
Yeah.
yeah.
and releasing pieces, and they did it in a very short time
Yeah.
frame because of how all that happened.
Like,
But
oh, it's time.
the
Yep.
It's like all of a sudden I like went on Facebook and there's like a half
Map.
I'm like, what? How did this happen? Where did these puzzle pieces come from?
Yeah.
So the fun, juicy part of this is that about 3, 4, maybe 5 pieces came out, and then out of nowhere, out of nowhere, the whole map came out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not saying who,
Are you
not saying where it came from.
Yeah.
We're not going to say where it came
Okay.
from.
I wasn't sure how far we were gonna talk.
We're not going to say how it happened. We're just going to say that it got out there. It got leaked, and
For a minute.
for
That's all
But
it takes.
someone
Yeah.
That's all.
screenshotted
No,
it.
someone else screenshotted it.
Several
That's
people
all it
screenshotted
takes.
it.
Yeah.
so
Someone
But then
linked it.
after that, someone else posted it, and I literally put on, I'm like, you're ruining the fun. Like, and he ended up deleting it. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, like when I saw it, I was like, we kept it internal, and we didn't post it on that page. We
Yeah.
didn't post it on our social media pages. Like it was just for us.
Oh, I wanted
But I
to.
can't help it, like from
Janet Jackson had a nipple slip. That thing. Caught on like fire.
that's what.
Yes.
So I'm from marketing. That's my
I wasn't sure
job.
where he was going with that.
This
It
is
really
Tough
wasn't.
Mudder's nip slip.
This is Kyle McLaughlin's nip slip.
But if it were on purpose, that would have been genius.
Yeah,
Like, I
okay.
cannot.
I felt like it was on
cannot
purpose.
think that.
I felt like it was on
Yeah.
purpose.
We're keeping with the analogy.
That's amazing.
I feel
Heather.
pretty confident I
That's
can
the
say
best.
it wasn't.
Just like Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
It was on purpose.
Or was
Air quotes.
But
Either way, it caused a buzz. It worked.
some people, some big name social media personalities did post it, and then shortly took it down. Because it was like, well, that's not the point of this. It's
Right.
not just to
Yeah.
let everybody see the map.
It was
Evan.
God damn it, Evan.
But
controversial Evan.
But so what the interesting part about it for me was since they had the one official person that was piecing the map pieces together, but nobody was like overlaying it over other maps, and that's what I find interesting is to see. Okay, we see this puzzle piece, but where is that really? Like, if you look at Google Maps, where is this?
He did this forever, you guys.
yeah.
Jason did this
What is your
forever.
level?
Jason goes down the rabbit hole.
What is your level of expertise with Photoshop?
My Photoshop skills are all self-taught.
Self-taught? Yeah, to what grade? Like intermediate, expert, OCR onion
I know,
level?
you
OCR onion.
OCR
He was like
onion.
beautiful
No,
minded
sorry,
in the
Some
grass.
of those maps we're going.
He's a beautiful
Well, like 3
OCR
years ago,
mind.
this is what the map was. This is what it looks like.
I can show you messages between me and the OCR onion to I mean, you can decide if that
prove
did I do that to myself? I don't
Yeah,
know. but-
okay.
I mean, but nobody wants to see you
You
talking
can
to yourself.
message your
Yeah.
other Instagram
camera.
account
I've been-
and then have a conversation with yourself.
Having a conversation with
I've been accusing Will Hicks of being the OCR onion. I get so many messages when I put that. Is that real? Is that real?
What if
I'm
it's
like-
just Mappy Davis hiring somebody to
No.
follow
It's
him
not.
around?
I know it's not.
I
Mappy
know it's
Davis. We
not
had a
either.
conversation about that earlier today. It's not
I
Mappy
don't
Davis. It's
trust
not. Who did we just?
It's
what
not
was his name?
OCR. I'm
Why don't we
You
just-
guys,
no.
how
Keep
satisfying if it was somebody at this table. That feels so good.
Like we're playing
Are
a
you
game.
the OCR onion?
No.
It's struggles of a race wife.
I would
knew
do
it.
I would do a better job.
I don't podcast because I just OCR onion
I
everything.
talked to them too, and I don't
I
want to
mean,
know.
Heather
who
is
it
more
No,
involved
but
in
this,
the.
the map. No, did you tell him
in
though
the
that?
Spartan
Pretty sure
community.
it's Heather.
I wish I was that clever. I wish I was the
She
OCR onion.
didn't finish Tahoe.
Oh! It was
but was actually just running behind people taking photos.
Yeah, right.
What were you gonna say?
I wonder if that
I was gonna say you worked on that. Jason passed up video games several nights in a row
Wow.
to do the overlay of the map.
Oh.
He was so
Yeah.
much into it.
Yeah,
But then
so
you got called out. They
so
thought
I
you were
was-
leaking.
Right, I had an overlay. I had the puzzle pieces that had been released overlaid on the Atlanta map from this year, and overlaid on the last year's map, and overlaid on like the legit, just Google Maps map.
You went
And-
in depth.
Yeah, and it was fun. It was fun, like to see like, all right, I can see, especially from the map, the full map that I saw. Here's where King of Swinger. I mean, here's where the Gauntlet is, which is where. The Stacks was last year. Like, is that the same thing? It's the same symbol. Like, I don't know. It's just nerding out on it.
You did.
And
Maybe they're gonna
posting that stuff because the leaked version was out there. They were being so stringent about it. I got messages and deleted images from both. I'll just leave it at from community leaders saying that we're sorry we took your picture down.
season desist.
And I was like, why? And they're like, because it was leaked map. And I was like, no, it wasn't. Did you even look at it?
Jason's like, I worked like 3 hours on that thing.
One of my favorite ones that got taken down was I had the blank spots. I just selected them and deleted them and let Photoshop fill in the blanks. So it looked like a full map. But it was just kind of garbled up, and they thought it, like, at a quick glance, they probably thought,
It was the actual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
One of
So-
them clearly wasn't the map because it was like
Yeah.
sideways.
right,
angled,
that's what I thought.
all this
Anyway.
weird stuff.
So that was kind of fun, and that's the kind of my experience with it. But once we stopped doing that, the map pieces kept coming out, and now we have it. We have the full map, not a high quality version of it, because there's still text that you can't read. Because we believe that the compression on Facebook is the reason behind this. But we've got it. We've got the map here. It's coming up. We've got the hot lap happening tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
So excited.
like looking at it. I'll talk about the things that I find interesting in it the most to me, and then y'all can chime in where you like. Obviously, the secret hazards.
What?
Oh, the secret hazards. Yeah, the.
It says question mark secret
Question
hazards.
mark secret hazards.
What is a secret? Like, do we even have any idea what a secret hazard
I'm
is?
gonna say Stacks isn't on the map.
Stacks
Maybe
isn't a
it's-
secret,
Stacks.
So it can't be
They
that.
are not going to redig that hole.
I
from
got
last
my
year.
hopes up
They
for a
left
half
that hole.
second that Stacks wouldn't be included, but now I'm scared again.
Maybe it's just Stacks and someone's like fighting
so
you at
I
the top.
think, and I could be wrong, and I don't know
Loser
if
falls
it,
off.
if it was at Atlanta, but I'm thinking, which one is it? Waterworks
Waterworks.
could be like
Somebody was
a
saying
slip and
Crybaby.
slide off of
Oh,
Stacks.
I loved Crybaby.
I was
Remember-
Like
Crybaby
somebody
was
was
such a
saying
great
Crybaby with
concept.
hydrophobia.
Yeah, we're
mixed,
pretty-
I used to
like-
love Crybaby.
We feel pretty confident that's
Side
gonna
note,
be
I've done that one. It's not that bad.
hydrophobia.
It's like
No, I love
a fraction
Crybaby.
of the weakness. Oh, I love
So the
Crybaby.
tube
So-
with water.
Sorry.
It's like a nice little
thought you went to
dose of
I was
Akron.
going to, but I heard about Crybaby and all that. So
Crybaby
menthol
and
isn't that bad because
I
have
love
contacts.
Crybaby.
It's
Here's
not-
the thing.
Worried about
The
that.
what their new modification to hydrophobia, where they add that in,
Yeah.
it's not bad at all.
And it's
It's
not
a Febo
legit
rub.
tear gas.
People-
Oh yeah, no, it's
No.
the first time we went through it, I had a sinus.
I was like,
back,
ooh.
and I was like, oh, I can breathe.
Regular, that's it.
I feel
Yeah.
great. This makes the rest of the race better.
It is.
Like, I don't want
not
anything in my
bad.
contacts.
Yeah.
No. It
The
is
first-
not that
The
bad.
first time I did it, I couldn't breathe halfway through and thought I was gonna pass out. And then when I got out, my eyes were watering for 10 minutes.
Oh,
So I
original
hate
Crybaby?
original
Okay.
Crybaby.
Yeah.
Original Crybaby. I hate that obstacle. But I also think
Oh,
I was
okay.
in the lane closest to where they were feeding it in, and they
Oh.
just turned it back on
Yeah.
before and did the thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. I hate that obstacle. I would rather
So I
do
know I
electroshock
love
therapy.
whenever you go through an obstacle and then afterwards the volunteers are like, yeah, you don't want to go through that.
Well, you know,
You want to completely avoid that.
your little tip on what is it, cage crawl
Cage crawl
helps me because
the
just
poles.
stay on the straight pole. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that makes sense.
Oh.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, I just stay on the,
I
the straight.
struggled with that for so long, and I was like, just stay
Yeah,
on the
because
straight
the
pole.
first time
like,
I
you're
went through
fine.
cage crawl, I was
Don't-
just
don't.
like blindly going through it, and I was
Yeah.
like zigzagging, and it was.
And that's what I
terrible.
did until you told me.
Yeah,
It was like
and then I was
follow
like,
the straight pole, sit right against it, in and out like nothing.
Oh, thank you.
So it says it's 5 miles long. Hopefully that is the case for this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. I'm like,
Toughest
what was it,
South.
Yeah,
Toughest South.
Even
Or if we get
Vegas.
some 2017 penalties,
Oh,
let's
okay.
do 3 more miles.
Vegas was longer than 5?
Yeah, it was like 5.15, 5.2.
No, toughest south was.
Oh, toughest south was
five and a
closer to
half.
6.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
five.
Yeah, I
It
finished
was
my.
closer to
I
6.
finished my
Well,
fourth
they-
mile at like
I don't know if you
25
heard,
miles.
they adjusted the contender status
Oh, yeah,
qualification
yeah.
because it was way off.
No,
But the
we're talking
problem with
about
that
Vegas.
was-
Vegas was longer than.
Oh.
It was like
Yeah.
A lot of people at
5.4.
that also
Yeah.
stopped running because
Yeah.
they
Because
realized it was
they-
longer. Yeah.
they thought-
Yeah,
yeah.
you did.
The elevation gain, 623 feet per lap.
Woo!
Sounds
Not,
accurate.
not bad,
That sounds
Yeah.
accurate.
I'll
That's
take
good.
it.
Get that on my
but that's
Yeah, that's
definitely
nothing.
nothing crazy.
That's nothing.
They've got some good hills out there. If they
they
utilize the
do.
ones they did last
Yeah.
year, the hills that they have are great, but they have some good long sections of flat running for sure.
I hated that part.
I've had enough
Actually,
California
running-
hills.
Yeah.
Good.
I actually just noticed the only 5 penalty obstacles.
5
Yeah.
penalty
Five
obstacles.
penalty
So I was looking at this and I'm
So,
thinking, like
Gauntlet,
looking around the map, you've got Everest, Gauntlet,
Everest, King of
Funky
Swingers,
Monkey.
King of
Funky
Swingers,
Monkey.
Funky Monkey, and what's the 5th one? That's what I can't figure out. Where's the 5th one?
At
Mud
toughest,
Mile.
well, toughest it was
Mud
it was
Mile.
the electric.
Yeah, we said King of Swingers.
EST. But
Yeah.
No,
EST
that
is,
that's on a separate loop.
Yeah, it's in a separate loop though.
a
So
separate loop.
So I
And
can't imagine it having
Yeah.
a
I
penalty.
feel like that's like the penalty.
I don't know
to
where the 5th one would
Everest.
be.
What?
The
So we
electric
said
loop is
Everest?
like the penalty at Everest. Like if you don't want to do
We gotta
Everest,
figure out
then
what
you do
butter
the
press
electric.
is.
No, it's
That's-
Letterpress is.
just
I think the
crawling
penalty to
under.
Everest is going to be more than just the
They're
electric.
just low
Yeah.
to the
Yeah,
ground.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
they
Yeah,
made-
that's what
Yeah.
we were
Because
talking
they made a
about.
huge
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
He made a big deal about how it's going to be
Yeah, I think
worth
that's what it is.
worth
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Because at-
Right.
Something else.
Electric shock's
Yeah, that
penalty
makes sense.
was what 25 box jumps.
Maybe Arctic.
Yeah.
So
So
just doing the
Well,
electric
that's
loop,
gonna be
Maybe.
this is not going to be.
that's actually that. My question is, I'm waiting to see
Maybe
what
whatever
the
water
penalty for for the gauntlet will be.
Yeah.
In Midwest, it was a hefty penalty. It was
What'd
a
y'all have?
out and back penalty loop that was pretty long for every section that you failed.
Oh yeah,
So
that's
that's-
why they had it
and
at Toughest
so-
South
Oh
too.
no,
But
they,
then
but they didn't
Toughest
enforce
West-
But
it.
they didn't
Yeah.
enforce
They didn't
it.
enforce
They
it until
enforced it
I was the
here.
first one to get enforced on it because I came through and the guy goes,
No.
"Oh no, you need to go for each section."
They
I'm like,
enforced it
what
in
do you mean?
Midwest, but
Yeah.
then in Toughest West, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
15 squats
Per
section.
Oh, I'd
And I was
rather
like,
do that. yeah.
Oh, so
Okay.
it was such like a difference that I'm
Yeah.
very curious to
I mean,
see.
Yeah.
I
do you
wonder-
guys remember the penalty for failing the Funky Monkey in 2017?
Oh
That
my
was
God,
freaking
yes.
brutal because that was like
That was
another
the
half mile,
longest.
and
Yeah,
then you had to do
Oh.
Arctic Avenue.
But that
on
was
top
the
of that.
warmest
Yeah.
water on course.
it was. It was the warmest water on course. But yeah,
Everybody was
Uh-oh.
peeing.
it
in
was
it.
so long. It was so long.
That's when I realized I could fall asleep while I was walking.
Yeah, because it
That
was
happened
like
out on that one.
out into the boonies. It was crazy.
I
Yeah.
wonder if they'll
So what's the-
switch
yeah,
up
what's the
the
fifth one gonna
penalties
be?
during the night.
Well, obviously we have to find out for sure, even if those have penalties. But that's that's the best guess at this moment.
But then the
Not
hazards might be
Yeah,
kinda
God-
considered
God
a
knows.
penalty or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Mark and I will report back to you and see what they're
Perfect.
hiding in the fields.
yeah, and how much of this penalty wise or any of this other stuff are we even going to see tomorrow during the hot lap or not?
That's a good question.
I was
I don't think
thinking-
they'll do penalties
No,
at all.
no, they're
No,
probably
for
won't.
hot
Yeah.
lap,
That would
no,
make
I
sense,
don't-
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
It's gonna
see
be
that.
treated like
I
a
think for the-
standard short course.
I
For
wonder
the
if
pit
they'll
crew
have
this
you.
year, I think it's going to be very important for you guys to gather information as to how long it takes to do an obstacle, what's
Yes.
the best way to do something.
Don't you
Yeah.
worry.
Recon pit crew.
What
Yeah.
to use your like where to skip.
We did
Talk
that-
to everybody.
I feel
So,
like we did a
like,
I'll
good job
tackle
of
the
doing that
smallest
last
guy and
year.
scream
Yeah.
at him until he tells me.
Oh yeah, I very strategically in West, very strategically skipped entrapment. I just did the penalty every time because it was shorter. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right to your strengths.
That might be
Yeah.
the fifth
Yeah.
one.
yeah,
Yeah,
Entrapment's
and
not on there.
there's no entrapment.
Is it?
There is electric eel instead, which
So
is
that is
That
At least
will
they'll
have
go
a
faster,
penalty
a
though.
crawl
But
but
you know
with
what?
water.
They'll
Well,
go
Trevor
way
was a
faster.
short penalty at Toughest.
entrapment takes
Yeah.
a minute.
At Obstacle Innovation, they did the level up to entrapment was electric. instead.
Yeah. They don't have legal things
So,
on them.
level up obstacles. There, it does say that there are 9 level up obstacles.
Yeah. but
So what does that mean as far as like are those level up obstacles? You going to get something extra out of it? You going to get
No.
an extra wristband to? Well, why would you do it
You
though?
know,
Or those they're
They didn't have it at Toughest. They
What,
had level
right,
ups,
they
but
had them
didn't
up there,
have
but you
a-
didn't have to do them.
No, but I mean,
This, they're going to have something. If you do it, you're going to get something, an incentive to do
Theory.
it.
Well, Everest is gonna be one of them.
theory, they will be rotating level up throughout the night or throughout the 24 hours, and you will get golden carabiners for completing.
Yeah.
But they're going to be rotating, so it's not going to be all 9 the whole time.
I'm just seeing,
Is that the goal?
FYI.
That would be, yeah, that would be.
Hang on.
really
I'm
nice.
just seeing flashing strokes are required, glow sticks are not allowed.
What?
Ooh.
I gotta say, there's
That's
been a
gonna
lot
change
of
a lot of people's
Breaking
lives.
Yeah.
news!
Why would they do
lot of
that?
last
You
just
have
now?
flashers, Michael?
No,
Something
That's
Wait,
a
does
little
it have to
last
flash
minute
though?
stuff.
I have a light.
Because
that's
I didn't have a
super-
flash or a toughest. Anna gave me one
That
last
is
minute.
super annoying.
Yeah.
We need to go find you. a
Yeah.
No,
flasher.
Jason bought
I have
extra.
I have
they're
3 or 4.
they're going to be selling flashing strobes at the merch.
Of course.
Oh.
Oh, of course they are.
Now they're
Jason
required,
Bieber.
and we're selling them, by the way.
Official.
Damn it, Kyle.
Also,
Come
Mr.
on.
Bieber
Official
also
Tough Mudder brand
just
that
announced
was-
the whole bus situation.
Yeah.
Like, they just
$50.
announced this, which is great.
Yeah.
That we
World's
can get
toughest
the bus
podcast.
there for like,
Podcast.
I don't know.
Yeah, like if you were there.
Get Will.
I was like, I'm not
Yeah,
running, but
so-
I'll sell
OCR Talk
flashers.
brand ones. Yeah.
They were sitting there after dinner and the topic was brought up and they said that they needed to share it ASAP. So they posted it with
Well.
permission of TMHQ. So
That
Okay.
is crazy.
Wow.
That's a
It is
big
very
announcement.
Like a
It's
lot of
That's
people already
really
here.
short
Yeah.
notice.
Our
Yeah.
friend
I'm
from
expecting more
Dallas.
short notice news like this.
I wouldn't have had one. I only brought.
You still have
I only brought
all
glow
day
sticks
tomorrow
to
to go
top
buy
it.
a flash at Walmart. Like,
That's
it's
true,
that's
fine.
true.
Everybody-
Yeah, but
But you do have those people that are flying
Yeah,
in.
traveling to all
Right.
day.
Yeah,
That are traveling all day.
We flew in
Yeah.
today. We saw several
Because
people.
last year we
that were
drove it. We
racers.
got in at
Yeah,
like
we
6
did.
a.m. last
Yeah.
year.
What's
On
wrong
Until
with
Friday.
this?
Venue.
People are gonna see all this.
Right.
What
Yeah.
is that on?
What's
the-
wrong with
This
them? Why
was-
would they do this
was,
to
like,
us?
posted 30
Yeah,
minutes
Caitlin.
ago.
I mean, if
How dare
Caitlin
they?
didn't send it in the group message,
Right?
I'm not paying attention to it.
Idiots.
Caitlin doesn't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
All right, so speaking of the level up lanes and golden carabiners, there is the 3 marks on the map that show lines for golden carabiner routes.
I'm one of them.
So there's one on one side of the
on,
course,
Kai.
and then there's 2 that are like almost in a line that are on another side of the course. So instead of just being like last year, where golden carabiner was a whole different route that you took, it was still about the same mileage, but you didn't have any obstacles.
Yep.
This year, it looks like legit you're skipping
Clearly.
a portion of the course. It's a
Yeah.
shortcut. So whether it's the shortcut is 50 yards versus going another, half a mile, but to skip a whole mile without obstacles too. So there's some
I don't
interesting
think
things
it's like
there.
a whole mile.
Yeah, but-
Well, like,
Yeah.
right, I don't know how
accurate
what
is
the
but
that?
distance
that's
is, but to
probably
say
at least half, if not.
It's still a shortcut, for
3/4.
sure.
That's a big chunk
But
when it comes to 5
I'm-
miles.
I'm interested right here where it like looks like they line up, they cross over the normal path. Is that, could you take one or the other, or is that one straight shot? So that'll be interesting to see as well.
That's a good question.
Now the mid lap pit, the party,
Yeah, where is it?
The
It's-
quick pit.
it's
2.5 miles.
Yeah,
How
it's
easy is that for us
halfway
to
in.
get to?
There's actually on the map there's a
purple
straight
route.
For half
route
a second, I
for
forgot you
spectators
weren't
to get up
running,
there?
and I was like, just run to it.
Duh.
I'm so mad.
You're
I'm
gonna
not
get there
running.
eventually, right?
You're gonna hear Caitlin and are gonna hear all about it. How you wish you were running.
Does
I couldn't
anyone plan
afford
to
to
use
this
this?
Well,
I mean, Anna, we don't have Brandy running.
I mean, it
like,
kind of depends. Like,
midway through the course, I'm back going, Anna's coming right now.
That was so nice.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it would be super nice to see a familiar face at that point.
I'll be there.
But is it necessary?
We make
No.
signs.
It's funny, yeah. I was just on Scott Knowles' podcast, and we were talking about that, and I was like, I will not be using it at all. I think it would actually be more detrimental to my race. However, I do love the morale boost that it's going to be. It's going to be a
Absolutely.
total
Well
morale
said.
Yeah.
boost.
I'll be
Even if you
there
just run
in the middle of
past.
the night. I'll be there with the beer.
Giving high
and if I can,
fives.
Yeah.
print out
Yeah.
some memes. I'll just stand there. Like, hey.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Like 3 a.m., we could all just like sit out there instead of just hiding in our
Yeah.
tents. Yeah.
Bunch of
Yeah.
Epstein memes.
But it does. You know, if it's halfway, it's 2.5 miles for us to get there, but for y'all to walk, I think they said it's about a straight out
Yeah.
a mile to get there.
Yeah.
So 10-minute walk to get
Yeah.
over there.
10 minutes of 10-minute miles.
20 minutes. Sorry. Well, if you
I'm not
jog,
the 70-year-old guy at the back doing the race walk, trying to beat that 5K.
Making a crash. Know that.
Hey, he places in his
Right?
age every single
about
time.
Right?
About strokes being required instead of.
Yeah, I sent it to the group.
yeah, I think we're getting pretty close to wrapping
Looks
this up.
like people don't know if that thing is true or if he's like
Oh.
calling BS on it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ooh,
Ooh.
It's
Scandal.
such a major world thing that it's
Scandal.
kind of surprising.
Yeah.
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 The
Stay
strobe.
tuned.
Strobe
That, yeah,
peaks.
that's
Yeah.
that's
Check
stick.
with Obstacle Running
I
Adventures.
brought my
to know
glow
the truth.
sticks as a backup to my
Katelyn will
stream,
find
so
out.
it's gonna be
I got really drunk and broke
Somebody says
all
call
my
Kyle.
glow sticks from
Call
South
Kyle.
and like spun them around.
Let's call. Who's got Kyle's number? Let's call him right now.
Let's
I
call Kyle.
actually do have
Oh
Kyle.
my God!
Let's go,
Wanna
Kyle.
try?
Speaker!
Do it.
10:30,
Do it.
the
Just
weekend
as an
before the
ambassador.
event.
Get someone else.
I'll do
I
it.
just now posted.
No, I'm already on like a shit list for being a bachelor.
Oh, my
so
phone.
I'm not gonna-
We don't want to do that.
That's my guy.
We'll
I got
find
your number
out.
from
You guys will
somebody.
know. We'll
All
find out.
right,
Post this
all
tonight.
right.
Hunt him
Hey, I
down.
fought somebody in the
I'm gonna
parking
try
lot.
to.
I got your number.
Hunt
Alright.
him down at the hotline.
You'll find out. Just bring,
This thing is falling
just
off the
bring
rails now.
flashers, just to be safe.
So the last thing, the last.
Okay, focus
Okay.
in. Focus in.
The last, some people are still traveling in tomorrow. The last thing that I want to say about the map is looking at the layout of the obstacles itself. While we've got some like throwbacks to previous years, like stuff from Vegas, like Statue of Liberty, you got some newer stuff. But honestly, it doesn't look like there's anything like crazy and big. You know, King of Swingers, will it be a big version of King of Swingers, or will it be the little smaller version that we?
Sorry.
They had Leap of Faith at, or not Leap of Faith, I'm sorry. They had Walk the Plank at Atlanta, and they already had the frame on it. So it's going to be the big
okay.
version.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
wrong. What
Hey,
is
that would
this?
be awesome.
I've
But
never seen a small version.
I think overall
It was
the
fun.
the course doesn't like. I'm not looking at the course
Shocking.
like, wow, this looks like I'm super excited. Like it looks good, not just like overly excited. But the thing I noticed the most, yeah,
He doesn't
yeah.
get excited.
But the thing that I noticed the most is that the first one, Kiss of Mud will probably get you wet. It could, but I'd say the first like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or so, like you don't get wet, like
21
legit wet until after halfway through the course where you get into Mud Mile.
What?
You
Okay.
can
Well,
get wet pretty fast.
we don't know what Devil's Taint is going to be like. It could
True.
be like Devil's
Devil's Tank gets you
Quagmire.
wet.
Yeah.
True.
Here's my question: what's in front of Funky Monkey? That's always my number one
Yes.
concern.
No, it's
That-
it's a water
So
obstacle.
once
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
Arctic
Yeah.
you so once you get in,
Yeah.
no.
He already has like
This is-
Okay.
Beat yourself, Heather.
I don't swear very much on my podcast, so I don't know.
Mike is like a sailor in our podcast.
So once you get past what looks like a bunch of dry obstacles and you get into the water, then you get to like Mud Mile, Mutter Press, Block Ness Monster,
Do we know
then
what
Funky
Mutter
Monkey.
Press is?
After
Oh.
Block Ness Monster.
It's like, I think it's like the tires.
And it's not super far after.
It's squeeze play. Just pushing them.
Jazz hands.
Savage Race. That's what it is.
Static-
Jason, this is a good time to cut in and talk about your new CBD sponsor.
Yes, let's stop right here. I've got a good half hour.
So what makes it
CBD
with that?
sab.
Cannabis?
You know what I'm really sad
What's the
about
strain
though?
we talk about?
Is so I wasn't there last year, and Twin Peaks looked so cool,
I know.
and I was like, maybe they'll have it on the regular Tough Mudder course. They didn't, and I was like, you know what? At least
I
I'm
was
running Worlds this year. I don't get to
so
see it.
mad
Nope.
about that.
And I'm like, no.
Secret hazards.
Secret hazard.
Secret hazards.
Maybe.
No, the amount we
Hold
talked
on.
about it last year, I was looking forward to
It was
doing
I
it this
wanted to
year.
do it so bad.
And it didn't
Yeah.
show up. I was so
It's a
upset
great
about
obstacle,
it.
but on the
Nerds.
rough side, Piss and Cock said it best, and they're not going to understand this because this is audio, but when you fall,
Yeah.
Oh,
it
yeah.
feels like
Yeah.
an eternity
Yeah.
falling down that thing.
Yeah, but you
And
made
that
it
one
seem
was
so much fun.
It was a great obstacle.
But it does look like the
But I
upper
won't
body
sit here.
the upper body obstacles are surrounded with water obstacles, so it looks
Yeah.
Oh,
like it could be tough
Great.
That's
solely
great.
based off of that.
that's great.
Because you got
Super.
Block Ness Monster, Funky Monkey, Statue of Liberty at night, Waterworks,
That'll
the
be cool to
Gauntlet,
see.
and then
Yeah.
King of Swingers. So you got two, upper body obstacles without water in a row, if you don't fall in, that is. So
If
that's
it's not frozen.
to me that seems like the hardest part of the course.
How deep is the water for Statue of Liberty? Do you have to swim, or
I'm
is
assuming
it all
it's where
water?
underwater
it's
tunnels
like
You
and stuff.
generally
No,
have, in Vegas
in the
you had
past,
to,
you had to swim.
Yeah.
You had to like legitimately.
While holding a
Yeah,
That
you
was
put
the
it
worst.
And
stuck in the
if it
middle.
goes out, there's
Yeah.
a penalty, right?
That made for a good video, though.
Right? So that's why we
Badass.
didn't.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
why we didn't name.
Badass. That was
Yeah?
really
We didn't
good.
name Statue of Liberty, did we? In the 5?
No.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for us,
That might, yeah, that might be a
Yeah.
penalty one.
It's just going to be
Yeah.
a swim
Yeah,
for
'cause
us
it wasn't
tomorrow. They're not
Vegas.
going to light
Yeah.
torches during the day.
Yeah, that would be a good
Jazz
penalty
hands.
I
one.
want to.
But everybody they get rinsed off before they come to the pit, which is awesome.
Yes,
That
Arctic,
is, that's a great
I
idea.
appreciate that.
Arctic
I
Enema at
actually,
the end.
yes, I'm really glad that there's Statue of Liberty because that's, you know what? I may pee in my wetsuit, but I at least wait
That's the
for
place.
water
Yeah, that's the place to
crossing.
pee.
Yeah.
That's
I
the place
wait
to
for
pee in
water
your
crossing.
wetsuit.
That's supposed to do it.
I was
Peeing
totally
after
doing
the-
that last
Yeah.
year. I was like, I'm about to come
No.
into some water. So
Oh,
Being
peeing
cleaned
out.
off before you come into the pit.
Do you
is
pee in the
best
water or do you pee
fucking
outside
thing.
of the water?
Depends on how cold
well,
my
I
legs
pee
are.
a little bit outside the water, and then
And then you go
whenever-
in.
and then
Yeah.
you go in,
See,
and then
this
you
is-
get out, and then
Or
you pee a
either
little
way,
bit.
when we take the
Wait.
wetsuits off.
Wait,
Pro
this is-
tip from
Pro
Javier.
tip.
Okay.
You guys are going about this all wrong. So last year,
Stand on your hands,
the
pee.
first section
No.
of the course, the
Uh-huh.
first like 2.5 miles was all in like wooded area, so there
Yeah.
was no wind that was really hitting you.
Yeah.
The second half of the course was just open field, so you would get a lot colder on the second half of the course,
Yeah.
where there was some water obstacles, but not as many. So what you have to do is pee yourself while you're in the coldest section of the course.
Yep.
So identify that spot, hold your pee till that moment, and then just pee yourself at that moment.
Lord have mercy on
I
your
just
soul if
hate
you're
getting
cheerful.
in the
That's
water
strategy.
obstacles.
There you
Like,
go.
It's already there.
It's
Yeah,
already,
it's already
stuck in
there.
your wetsuit.
It's already there.
I know.
It's gonna
And
get
then
all
whenever
over your
at the
car.
end of this event,
Current
whenever
exists
everybody's
doesn't
stripping
mean
you
you
down
have
in the
to.
med
The
only
tent in
time
front
I've
of the
peed in a
heaters,
wetsuit
we're
has
all
been
gonna
when I've
smell
been
like
in the
hot
water.
piss.
My mile reeks of urine.
All right.
Do you remember Black? Wait, you didn't do
That's
Vegas
the best
I was
time to
out
pee in your
there.
wetsuit.
I still very clearly remember the scent of Block This Monster at Worlds in 2017.
No.
Just like, oh, and you smelled like it for the next mile
oh.
after.
It
Oh.
smelled
Oh.
like that
It
2
smelled
weeks before it at the regular Tough Mudder. It was
so
just the
bad.
water.
So it was like
It was
2
so
week old
bad.
piss.
That's
I
where
was
you,
like,
no, that's where
okay.
you pee. That's where you pee all the
All right, so
time.
I think we're gonna wrap it up here, unless you got
What's
something.
CP?
Wrap it up on the
Yay.
That was
Sorry,
a
okay.
perfect spot to finish. Does anybody have anything like you really dying to get out and say before we wrap it up?
Pee and blockness out on the pit.
I want to get this done so we can drink and hang out with all these
I wanna
awesome
say-
people.
Drink. I'm like,
Especially
This
3 bottles of wine.
this
in
has
at
been
this
an
point.
exceptional example of how excited we are.
Yeah, I
So
do want to
excited.
say, on a serious note, like, good luck to everybody racing. And no matter what you accomplish out there, be proud of what you did.
Yes.
Because there will be unknown factors and things will happen. And you might not be able to hit the exact goal that you want, but just be proud of the fact that you're even getting out there and starting this incredible race. And so,
Yeah.
good luck.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Not very many people can make it to the starting line.
Exactly.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we will record again well after. Like, we'll wait till the week after until we'll record again. We're not going to do the brunch like we did this past year. But
We'll be doing the brunch.
We will.
Yeah. Find it somewhere else.
We're only
So
on
thanks-
episode
Yeah.
43.
if you did get to listen to this before Worlds, awesome. You know, that means that this is Thursday night, so you got to listen on your travels on Friday. And so congrats to you.
Enjoy.
Drive safe.
Thanks for
Safe
listening.
travels.
And yeah, see you guys out on the course.
See you on the other side.
Cheers.
Let's do a little catchphrase at the end.
What catchphrase?
Follow, listen, and
Follow,
talk. I don't know.
follow, listen, and talk.
Like,
I was like,
subscribe.
It's stupid. We
We
don't.
close it out.
Smash
We
the
always,
like button.
we always just like close it out awkwardly.
We haven't
All right,
done anything that
bye.
fits.
Spike your phone against the ground.
Bye.
Good
Guys
too.
liked it.
So,
I'm
I feel,
still full
are we gonna get a
from
talking stick?
I know.
A talking stick. Well, yeah, I wanted to talk about that and how we're going to handle this because this is a lot of people.
So great. I'm so happy.
Before we do that,
It's always worked in the past.
your face is familiar.
My name's Jessica Johnson. I also
Jessica
have the
Johnson.
Jessica in
handle
the mud?
Johnson in the mud.
Okay, I messaged
She's
you on
pretty
Instagram.
big in the Tough Mudder community.
Yeah.
I've seen
hair
you, like,
braiding
I've seen your
thing.
face somewhere. Have you done videos somewhere?
Probably.
No, well, she
That's
does.
what I'm saying. I'm sure I've seen you on social
Yeah.
media.
What else
So
happened?
you're-
She's
But
TM
this one was
famous.
empty and
What
this
is
one
this?
had
I know.
some in it.
You running?
I'm not running. I'm crewing this year. I ran the last 2 years.
Who you crewing for?
My friend Travis.
No.
He's not
Travis like
That's the
this.
one.
laying this. Yeah.
Like,
Is it not going higher?
Is he going?
there's a lever.
Javier, do you not know how to work your chair?
Ed, how do you even say his last name? Ed
Well,
Grullo.
I think this one's
Grulia.
What?
Grulu.
You know this one?
I've known
We
each
know
other
her
very
very
well.
Is it not high enough?
Pronounce his last
More
Oh
name.
yeah, there's no lever.
Oh, there's no
He's road dad.
He's like in our like
Screw it in.
Southern California
Raise it
like
up.
Tough Mudder
Screw it
training.
back
That's
in.
nice.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, see? Just unscrew the levers.
What is happening?
There's no lever, you just have to move the lever between
If something
chairs.
happens to my athlete,
We didn't have a fucking
Here, you want to
band
sit
in
here
this
and I'll
damn
take the
house.
broken chair?
A what?
See, I would.
No.
I would
We got the
interview
level.
Javier, but Will
I'm
tried
not
interviewing
in
us after the
contender
race
for-
at Toughest West,
Boom.
and Javier just ruined it.
Is that how you're gonna
Oh.
So many
What?
sexual.
What happened?
Remember the interview
Oh.
we did with you and me and Chris?
Oh, you
Yeah.
mentioned some of that.
Oh my god, that was so wonderful.
Yeah.
If it was Matt's
Like
podcast,
it wasn't
would've
even
aired
on
it.
cue. It was
Yeah.
just like he
It
said.
has to be at the highest point of the room.
He was like
Yeah,
penis,
it's on
and I was like,
52.
yeah, Christopher Mendoza's dick. and then because I thought it was for her
Then we need
podcast,
one
and
more.
then when,
I would have aired it.
Yeah.
right, but then like it was for Will's, and as
Guess
soon
so.
as I heard that, I was like, I just wasted all this energy.
So are we
For no
using
fucking
this?
reason.
Yeah, it's running right now. So,
Oh my.
We're recording right
Sorry.
now. We're
Talking
live.
stick. Do we have like an empty
obviously,
bottle of
well,
wine?
no, we're not
Yeah,
gonna. We
right
don't need
here.
to pass anything
It's only
around.
talking in the
Talking
past.
Mike
You know,
thinks
some
we
of
need
the natural
Works with
like
small children.
Do you want to just
whatever
point?
conversation is good, but
Shut up, Jason.
if you're in the middle of if somebody's in the middle of saying something and you want to interject, if you find the right spot, then great.
Yeah.
But if there isn't a right spot and you feel like you're not able to get it, then just
Raise your hand.
We may have
Yeah,
won
like-
before. Yeah.
yeah.
Several people.
Well, we've never
Yeah,
done
it's
it.
physically
Not this
trying
many.
to-
We've never done it with
Okay,
that many
let's scooch
people.
closer. Scoot over.
I don't-
I can raise my hand
Scoot
on
your
our
booty.
podcast, but he
Not you, you're good.
We don't do video.
That's what was this many people was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's
good
his name?
sideways.
That announcer who just kept talking and talking and talking.
Oh,
the MC
with
guy?
Yeah.
Brett Stewart.
Fucking JTM talk or whatever fucking thing.
Oh,
Justin Manning?
Justin.
God. Yeah.
Oh, was this with him last
Yeah,
weekend?
he did good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll. I've got a couple of topics, but really nothing crazy. So we'll just talk about whatever.
Yeah, I just
They
came
really
along
don't
for the
matter.
ride. I didn't
Yeah,
realize.
it's awesome.
Whatever.
She's
Hey,
just
I've
here-
done world.
She's here for the pizza.
I drove her.
Killed that people.
We have bottles of water too. Do you guys want some water?
I could
yeah.
get a bottle of
I
wine.
am
about to
Fantastic.
I'm hydrated.
Hydrated like a mo.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to pass some water
Where's
bottles
water
around,
on?
that'd be good
Oh, that'd be very good.
for everybody to have some.
That's like
Yeah.
how
Already
I.
bought
that's
my
like-
pack of beer.
That's like
for
how I
fucking-
justify drinking
Pickle.
White
Oh,
Claw.
I
I
cannot
actually
wait
could use
till
another
Monday.
one, to be
I can't
honest.
wait till Monday. I'm so excited for Monday.
I haven't drank for
You
like
mean
months.
that-
I've already said
I
someone
mean,
needs to do 12
Monday.
laps. That way
The
I can
entire
go
case that I bought
first.
some week
I
long.
hope
I'm
there's
ready.
We
Sunday
have
too, but I'm
a
probably gonna
pack in
pass out.
Javier's car.
Thanks.
Do you guys want? Do you want?
I just want a
champagne
beer
or
last.
Oh, thank you.
It's like,
Caitlin
oh,
just reminded me
I'm
about
sorry, I
the most
totally
horrific.
stole
like,
your
Oh, no, that's
after
okay.
I finished Worlds, like,
So good.
We're
I
not
had a
talking
whole
about
bunch
your
of
belly
food.
cramps.
I completely forgot how bad that was. My stomach was just like,
Oh yeah.
It's in the
Yeah, on the
front.
way back
Feels
here,
like an
he's like, I
alien
hope my
kicking in the-
stomach doesn't get like hurt, and I'm like,
because I was thinking about like what happened to Jason, like if it knocked
you
him
ate-
out.
I'm
You
like,
ate
oh,
too
like the
much,
belly
or-
cramps.
I don't. My stomach like is cast iron.
We were fine.
Nothing gets to it.
Well,
But
you-
after
Yeah,
Worlds, I ate a
afterwards.
whole bunch of food, and my stomach was just like,
Oh.
Mike, you're running, right?
what?
You're running.
Yes.
And
I
you're
thought I was-
hitting.
yeah.
Okay.
At least 50 or.
I thought I was gonna have
Oh,
to
if
take
I
my
get
dinner.
like more.
You're
One.
definitely getting 50.
I got 50 last year, so
Yeah.
I just.
You're getting 55.
My biggest thing was chafing last year.
You
I
get
get past
the
that.
60 this time. Did
You
you
can
get
get-
the gurney goo?
We should have got that.
I got squirrel nut butter.
Yeah.
I heard really good things
Butter.
about
Oh, yeah.
that. Last time I had
It's in a
Vaseline,
stick and in
Oh,
lotion.
but I couldn't reapply because if I took the
Did you
wetsuit
want
off,
me
I
to
would
take a
just
picture?
die.
What?
So
That's
Want me
her
to take a
job to
picture?
just shove her hand
Oh.
down.
We should
that's my job.
Oh, okay.
That's my job.
Huh?
Yeah.
We can do that
Mark
after we're
rips off
done. We'll
the
take a picture
wetsuit.
of everybody,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what we'll use for the cover photo for
Mark
the.
Duplessis, stop touching my dick.
And Javier ruins another podcast.
That's where we're sharing a bed.
They're snugging tonight.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so
The
cute.
snuggle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different area code. so
Earlier,
it's okay.
earlier today, I stood behind
Jason's
him and
really
then I
trying to
just
get on
kind of
track.
adjusted my hip
He
height.
adjusted his hip height.
My hip height
See,
so
I-
that I can.
Mark's like, what are you doing? He goes, I'm getting
I
ready
can
for
scoop him
tonight.
through.
Just adjusting for tonight.
Who gets on top?
I'm normally
Yeah.
big spoon, so he gets to be big
That's
spoon. It's fine.
considerate. I am not. That's a gentleman.
Mike likes
thing to
my
do.
Like what you ordered
I know,
at the
that's-
store too.
I love being little spoon with him. Sorry, little spoon, little spoon. Little spoon?
I think this is going to be a bonus episode in itself.
Oh my gosh, probably.
Yeah, so we can go ahead and start, and after this is over, we well, I mean it's nice tonight to stay up. So I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it's Saturday night too, but
Except we all
You know,
got up
just-
at 3 a.m. to
Yeah, I
get
got
here.
2
right.
2 hours of
If-
sleep.
3 hours.
If you want to go to sleep, that's cool. But we got video
Good night,
games
Mike.
and a big giant screen upstairs, and
That's
it's gonna be
cool.
really
It's
cool.
all been training.
Team knows
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, let's do this, and however long it lasts is
do this.
fine, whatever. And then afterwards, we'll hang out, play some games, and all that good stuff. So, We'll start off by just going around and introducing yourself. If you want to say, your name and either what podcast you're with or who you're pitting for, that would work. And then, like I said, like if you find that like the conversation you just can't quite fit it in, and you don't want to. Some people will just do it anyway, but if you,
That's what she said.
but if you can't fit it in, just show pour water on your head or whatever you want to do to just make it known that you're trying to say something.
You can't fit it in.
That you got a point to make. Yeah.
Oh my god.
What are we talking about? This is
Everything.
gonna go
You just
really
gotta.
well.
Oh, I got it.
Did you get his joke?
Yeah, fit it in.
All right, so
It's like a tree stump of power.
we can go ahead and get started. Hey, have you heard about Anchor? You probably haven't heard about Anchor yet, so let me tell you about it. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. You probably hear other people talk about how they make podcasts. If they say it's easy, they're crazy. All of their methods are really hard and complicated, but Anchor, super simple. First off, it's free. They have creation tools that let you make the podcast right from your phone. You don't even need a computer. This is 2019. Who uses computers anymore? Anchor distributes your podcast on all the other platforms. No need to go do all that complicated searching and hosting and posting. Hosting and posting. They do it for you. You can also make money from your podcast. Well, that's what I'm doing right now, because you're listening to this ad. They've got everything you need to make a podcast in one spot. No need to search around all over the place. No need to go to 20 different sites. Just one. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Bet you thought I was going to sing right here, didn't you? Declan, you want to say hello? No. Bye.